You're looking at Hancock Stadium on the campus of Illinois State University, where we have the big 6A game for you. Two teams from opposite ends of the state. They will be competing. They are both undefeated, and one will walk away with a state title here in the late afternoon in Bloomington Normal. Hello, everybody. I'm Bill Hazen along with Bill Gorley. We're set to bring you the 6A final battle between East St. Louis and Mount Carmel. Two schools, Bill, that have tremendous football rivalry, and they've done it over many years.
Well, it isn't only tremendous rivalry, it's tremendous traditions that we're talking about, Bill. You're looking at East St. Louis since 1938. They're 438 and 79. That's phenomenal. And then when you talk about Chicago football and the Chicago Catholic League, you always come to mind Mount Carmel.
Yeah, they are right there, and they have been for a number of years a very dominant force in the Catholic League. Now, neither one of these teams, if you talk to the coaches, they say, well, my personnel isn't exactly what I'd like to have, but you know they're loaded. They have good teams. Mount Carmel, if they're going to get it done, their tight end, Mark Norville, money receiver, he has to do it for them.
Well, an interesting story about Mark Norville. When Mount Carmel was playing home with Flossmoor, there was no time left on the clock. It was a tip pass at the 1-yard line. Mark Norville makes the catch. They're calling it the miracle catch on the south side.
East St. Louis, meantime, is a small, athletic, quick football team, and certainly representative of that is their very fine quarterback, Vernon Powell.
Well, Vernon Powell is 5'11", 160, and Coach Shannon said that he's the one that makes everything go. But you have to take a look at the defenses on both teams, because there is where I think the game's going to be won.
Yeah, and I think a question of physical size is going to have a lot to do with that. East St. Louis a year ago against Hersey, really they were pushed around by a very physical Hersey team. Do they have enough? Are they strong enough to be able to play Mount Carmel a little better?
I don't know if they're strong enough, but certainly they're big enough. They average 240 pounds defensively, and they average 245 offensively. Now, if they don't have any strength, they certainly have some beef.
What about these two teams? They're both undefeated. 1 year ago, East St. Louis loses in the finals. 2 years ago, Mount Carmel loses in the finals. One of these teams is going to be very joyful and one very distraught.
Right, and one thing you have to remember is East St. Louis defeated Mount Carmel last year in the semifinals, 19-7. And this is going to be the first time since 1952 under Coach Terry Brennan that Mount Carmel has a possibility of an undefeated season.
If they win today, and it won't be easy against East St. Louis. Stay tuned. We'll be bringing it to you live here from Hancock Stadium in Normal, Illinois.
Getting into the safety belt habit is easy. All it takes is a little practice. So practice getting into the safety belt habit. Get into the safety belt habit even on the short trips.
Well, these teams have both had a long road to get to this final game here. Arguably, perhaps the two best football teams in the state of Illinois, certainly right in the top group. And to give you an idea, of course, the Mount Carmel Caravan is a team from the city of Chicago. And they're an area of 3.5 million. They have been a dominant force in the Catholic League for a number of years, and everybody knows about them. East St. Louis comes from an area known as the Metro East, just outside of St. Louis, Missouri. It's an area in which about 500,000 people reside, and they have been a power of a very solid group of football teams. I think there are 12 NFL players coming from the Metro East area who have played in the NFL or are currently playing there.
And that would certainly explain why they've been in the state championship 6 times and have won it 4 times, Bill.
Yeah, they've been incredible. They had that string, of course, of 3 straight where East St. Louis just could not be stopped. A year ago, I remember very distinctly going down to the East St. Louis locker room after the team lost, and I talked with Bob Shannon. We'll pick that thought up in a moment. We're going to pick up the public address for the starting lineups.
Zaretic. At right tackle, number 79, Joshua Banks. At right end, number 87, John Estrada. At linebacker, number 86, Matt Yeager. At linebacker, number 55, Pete Gabrione. At nose guard, number 65, Dan O'Hara. At defensive back, number 40, Enrico Mowat. At defensive back, number 14, Mike Pippin. At defensive back, number 20, Marty Schumacher. And at safety, number 22, Dave Hansen. Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that is it. That is the Mount Carmel team, the defensive unit, as they will be expected to carry the load early. And now we'll take a look at the Flyers, and they have been flying high in recent years here in the state of Illinois.
I can't think of a more aptly named team than East St. Louis to call them the Flyers with the speed that they have.
Number 12, Cecil Hawkins.
There's their head coach, Bob Shannon.
At left tackle, number 75, Clarence Green. At left guard, number 53, Jalivert Lang. At center, number 72, Richard Huddleston. At right guard, number 63, Chris Green. At right tackle, number 71, Cedric Howard. At right end, number 42, Dana Howard. At quarterback, number 16, Vernon Powell. At halfback, number 32, LeGrant Suggs. At flanker back, number 23, Jason Ford. And at fullback, number 26, Mario Malone. Those are the Flyers of East St. Louis Senior High School.
And there you have it. And I was talking about determination. You talk about a dedicated coach. Coach Bob Shannon. I went down to the locker room after the game a year ago, and they had lost that really heartbreaking loss to Hersey High School. And sure enough, the coach was down there consoling his players. He was saying, well, you missed a block here, you missed a block there. He says, but don't worry, because we're coming back. And they're here.
Well, you know, when you talk about who's the home team and who's the visiting team, you have to talk about a home field advantage. East St. Louis has the home field advantage because they play here every year.
Yeah, that's right. They have been here. And they were here last year. Mount Carmel's been here, of course, too. They were here 2 years ago, but only one player from that team is back this year, Bart Newman. Now, here's how East St. Louis got to the finals, and they had a couple of tough games. Belleville East, a big physical team, this Belleville East team, and they really gave them a lot of trouble. I was talking with Joel May, who does their games down there, and he was telling me that the big physical teams have given them some trouble. Otherwise, they pretty well controlled things. They did a great job against Pekin and Naperville North last week. As you can see how they've been outscoring their opposition. Now, Mount Carmel, of course, boy, did they have a game with St. Rita last week and struggled mightily. You mentioned the game with Homewood Flossmoor before that, and that was that 13-12 score. You're looking at it right there. Great defense, shut out Marist, and a victory over Bogan, and that's how they got to the finals. So they're pretty good. You can see that, look at that, only 6 points a game. They're allowing only 6 points a game.
Well, and that's what you have to look at on both sides of the ball. You have to look at the defensive teams and how they're going to react. East St. Louis has a record 32 interceptions. And, of course, if they could come up with a few here, maybe about 10, they could break the record, which is set in 1980 of 41. But obviously they're not going to do that today. But still, that gives you an idea what kind of secondary they have.
Mark Norville will be kicking off to get this game underway. You were talking about the great tradition that East St. Louis has. You realize that Mount Carmel has a record in playoff competition of 19-3. Here's the guy who's going to be running the ball back for East St. Louis, and he is certainly one of their key guys, and has been effective for them all year. He plays at a defensive back. He can really make some things happen on both sides of the ball for East St. Louis, and that is Cecil Hawkins. Has tremendous speed. Single back. They kick it toward Hawkins. He's going to go over and get it right near the goal line. Taken by an up man. He'll take it at the goal line and up to the 10 again. So Hawkins didn't have a chance to touch the ball. Flag flies at the 17 as it was carried out by Dwayne Rose to about the 17 or 18-yard line, and that's where the Flyers of East St. Louis will put it in play after any penalty assessment here. We'll go ahead and set the offense for East St. Louis. This is a talented, quick backfield. Suggs is the leading rusher on the team. Vernon Powell at quarterback is projected as possibly a defensive back in college. He's an outstanding athlete. Taking a look at the offensive line, big Richard Huddleston, a 260-pounder, and he's dropped 20 pounds from a year ago to get to 260. And you can see they've got a very, very good tight end, and Dana Howard, too. He does a lot of good things for them, and a solid offensive line. So up comes East St. Louis. The penalty takes the ball back to the 8-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 as Vernon Powell leads them up. It's an I backfield with Suggs and Malone, the running backs, and the handoff to Suggs, the deep back, gets to the 10, and he's stuffed. Going over the left side, it was Pete Gabrione, a starter, excellent on run support, as the coach told me, and I think we saw what he meant right there.
Well, one of the things we wanted to take a look at was the fact that a lot of people feel that Mount Carmel is weak in the middle.
Here's the defense now for Mount Carmel. They run with a 5-man front. Dan O'Hara is the man over the ball. They have 2 linebackers. We'll take a look at that front 5 first. We'll pick up the rest of it in just a moment. Again, the handoff to Suggs. Look at him power his way forward. That's close to a 1st down. In fact, I think he got it. I think he got out to about the 19-yard line. So the Flyers are off and running here. Warren Cushingberry making the hit. Chris Green tried to throw the block. Here's the rest of the defense now for you. They run that 52. Yeager and Gabrione are in position to make a lot of hits. Their defensive backfield, as you see, Mowat, Pippin, Schumacher, and Hansen. That's the Mount Carmel defense.
And you look for that front down people for Mount Carmel to slant an angle so the linebackers can make the tackles.
Strong right, 1st and 10. Deep to Suggs again, trying to look outside. There's not much there. He is met at the line of scrimmage and driven back. And the guy who got him, defensive end Warren Cushingberry. He is a guy they use a lot as a blitzer. And you see he held his ground very well. And so far, East St. Louis staying inside the tackles, really trying out that supposed soft middle on Mount Carmel defense. Right. So up they come to the line. The Flyers looking at a 2nd down and 9. Gain of 1 on the last play. Strong right this time. Away from the open side of the field. And once again, Suggs breaks free into the secondary. Carried a tackler with him. Boy, that was a mighty nice effort to keep running as he ran into Dave Hansen, and with help from Rico Mowat, finally made the hit on the play. Let's go ahead and take a look at this play. Good, strong run.
Well, they're mainly, East St. Louis, Bill, is mainly an I formation team, but they like to run the option. But look at that alley, and look at the way he keeps his feet going and gets an extra yard just right there. LeGrand Suggs, probably one of the more unheralded offensive players for East St. Louis.
No score, 2.5 minutes old, 1st quarter. East St. Louis and Mount Carmel. This is the 6A championship final. Slot formation this time to Suggs. Now they give it to the other back, Mario Malone, for the first time. Mario Malone gets to about the 32-yard line, and that gives East St. Louis the 1st down, as Marty Schumacher from the defensive secondary was there to make the stop.
That defense for Mount Carmel, you know, they've only given up 12 points once this season, and that was to Homewood Phosphor. Prior to that, only 8 points was the most they gave up in any football game all season long.
Well, the Flyers are moving the ball here initially. And, you know, Bill, you mentioned their option look as they're in a double tight set here with a wing right. They run right at that wing. They have a substitute back in there now, and they gave the ball to him, and trying to run around on that side was Jerry Creer, one of their top guys off of the bench. Tom Zoretic was there to make the hit, an emotional big play guy for the Caravan.
And East St. Louis is giving you some different looks, Bill. They lined up in an I formation, then they go to their wing look with an open backfield, and they're certainly giving Mount Carmel every look that they have offensively early in the football game.
Yeah. And we've seen very little option. You mentioned, and I really expected to see a lot of option, but they're running power football right now. It's a reverse, inside reverse to the wingback, and it's carried over to the left side, and a pretty good gain there for Jason Ford coming from that wing right off of the tight end.
Well, let's see that from the end zone right here. And you want to set this play up. You like to try and run to the right. Now he reverses out, looking like he's going to run to the opposite side, and then he gives an inside handoff when he pulls the guard and tackle to kind of lead the way. And of course, it doesn't make as much yardage as you'd like. But if you set that up, running it to the right, and you come back with it, that can be a big gainer.
Conversion down for the Flyers. They have yet to throw the football. Let's see if they have any wideouts on this play. I can see Cecil Hawkins is one wide out on the far side of the field, and they have Jason Ford to the near side. That's their receiving power in an I backfield, strong right. They're looking over in Hawkins' direction, and he's going to be hit and dropped for a loss as Vernon Powell could not get out of the way of Dave Guzman, who came in there, made a big stop, big number 74. number 3 tackle, and he gets a lot of playing time in the Mount Carmel defensive scheme.
Well, let's take a look at this. The defensive end was the one that made the big play. Vernon Powell runs the bootleg right here, and here you'll see the defense come in those white shirts. But number 87 was the guy that made the big play, and he's the... And I can't see what his number is. Oh, here it is. John Estrada, the outside linebacker.
Willie Fox on the punt gets to midfield, inside the 40, and it'll roll dead around the 30. Excellent East St. Louis bounce, and that's where the Mount Carmel team will take the attack, and they will go first and 10. Mount Carmel has a potent offensive unit. It's well balanced. They're led out there by quarterback Dan Miller, one of their team captains, and a very capable guy. Take a look at Dan. Nairobi Allen, Stewart, Griffin, and Boston. That's the guys. Those are the skill guys who make it happen for Mount Carmel. And here's their offensive line. Bart Newman is the real standout here. He's been starter. This is his 41st consecutive start for Mount Carmel, a school record. And that breaks a record established by a very famous player. Miller down the line, keeps it on the option, goes for about a yard or 2. This is a veer type attack. The tackle was made by Lloyd Ackland, number 73. And so a gain of 2. Let's take a look at the East St. Louis defense, and this is a quick, very quick defense. They have an even front. Huddleston in there, he's the beefy guy in the middle, 6'1", 260. Hampton, Lang, and Moore, they're pretty good players. Mario Malone, Green, Dana Howard has had an outstanding year for them. And their defensive secondary, Dion Dean, he's been one of the big surprises on the team, the way that he has played. 2nd down and 8. Miller to drop. Looks to the near side, has his target. Carl Boston to the 44-yard line. 1st down, Mount Carmel. Jason Ford there to wrap him up for the Flyers.
Bill, in talking to some of the Catholic League coaches, they felt that Dan Miller would definitely have to have a good day for Mount Carmel to be able to stay with East St. Louis. And of course, East St. Louis, their strength is their defense and their pass defense. Here's the replay. You see Dan Miller gets back about 7 yards, throws the ball. He's got a receiver wide open. And you didn't see any of the East St. Louis Flyers in there, and they're reputed to have the outstanding secondary defense. So this could be interesting.
11-yard gain, 1st and 10, as the give is straight ahead as Miller handed the ball off to Nairobi Allen, who got a couple of yards, and one of the guys who really has to do it for them. They've got to get a great game out of Nairobi Allen here today. He is a key man.
And Mount Carmel, their offense is totally predicated on series football. They'll set one play up to get another play, and they do that constantly. We haven't seen any of the option yet, but I think that's coming, and the counter option you know is coming.
Twin set, Boston and Griffin to the right. No tight end on this play. Miller to throw. He's going that way. It's deflected and nearly intercepted. The target was Carl Boston, but boy, Marcus Bester was draped all over him.
And you know, it looks like East St. Louis is kind of frozen in the secondary. They're not really coming up and playing the ball as they did. And at the last minute, we saw Marcus Bester come right up and make the play. We'll see it right here in the replay. He's frozen right at the last minute. Boom, he comes into the picture, and you see Marcus come in and make a great play.
3rd down and 6, conversion down. They send Carl Boston wide to the far side. He is the only wideout. They have Griffin in the slot to the near side. He comes in motion. That'll give him more receiving power on the far side. Option down the line. They give the pitch, and trying to blast through there was Matt Gersh. He did not get the 1st down yardage. He, a junior and a starter for this game. Dana Howard, the middle linebacker, got over there for the Flyers and was in the right spot. 4th down and 4.
You know, you can get an example here of the kind of defense that you're going to see from East St. Louis, where they string the option out. No one's really attacking. They're just letting Dan Miller make the play and make the pitch. He makes the pitch right there, and then you see everybody get off and get onto the ball. An outstanding defensive play by East St. Louis.
Line of scrimmage, the 50. Dan Hughes, the punter, gets it. Lets it go at the 40, and a driving spiral is taken by Cecil Hawkins at the 10-yard line. Gets a block to the 15, 16-yard line, and then well covered. Beautifully covered by Mount Carmel as they got down there. The bomb squad was in full force right there and was able to make the play, and so East St. Louis takes control, 1st and 10.
You know, you keep talking about Cecil Hawkins. I thought it was Pee Wee Hawkins.
Somebody was saying that he looked like Mel Gray, and the way that he runs the football, very reminiscent of a young Mel Gray. 4:56 remaining 1st quarter. No score. Mount Carmel and East St. Louis coming your way on Sports Vision today. Strong right. First down as Powell gives it straight ahead to his lead back, Mario Malone. And Joshua Banks, number 79, defensive tackle, is there to wrap up Malone after a little bit of an inside gain. Not much.
And Mario's a decent-sized fullback. He's 6 feet 205, and he's one of the captains, and he's one of the two-way players.
Mario, you may not remember this from a year ago, but he wore number 62 a year ago, traded it for 26. That's the number worn last year by Kenny Robinson, the defending 100-yard dash champ in the state of Illinois. You think there's a little pressure to wear that number now. And the quarterback, Vernon Powell, he broke away from a tackle. He got some yardage out of it. Oh, look at that! Oh, did you see that? He leaped right over the defender.
I wonder if he's a hurdler.
Oh, my
If
goodness.
he isn't, he's going to be right after this one.
I'll tell you what.
Let's see that in a replay, Bill. Could you believe that play?
If I'm a coach, I'd have my heart in my throat with this.
Now, here's where a great athlete can make a difference. He's stuffed right here, turns around, goes and reverses his field, breaks the corner, and now the defender comes in and he leaps him. He hurdles him. Look at that hurdle form. Outstanding.
Third down and 1. Boy, you worry about a player getting hurt trying something like that. Strong right. They give it to the big back, and he is stuffed. I think it was Creer. Pete Gabrioni was there and really stuffed Jerry Creer as he tried to hammer it ahead. Or LeGrant Suggs, excuse me, Suggs number 32. And he was stopped cold in that Mount Carmel defense.
Bill, that's the second time that Pete Gabrioni has made a play like that. He just came right in and busted in and make that play. And they're the key. The linebackers have to do that. The down lineman will keep people off so the linebackers can make the big play.
Fox to punt. And it's kind of a driving spiral. Doesn't carry too far. The ball's fumbled loose. And East St. Louis has recovered. East St. Louis, I think, has recovered. They have. They have at the 43-yard line. And what do you know? East St. Louis goes right back to work. And we'll pause. 3:28 remaining first quarter. No score from Normal. Well, the first big break of the game goes the way of the East St. Louis Flyers. They have the ball back after a punting situation. No score in the game. You see it right there. We're in the first quarter, and you see the time remaining. Up to the line come East St. Louis now. They have two wideouts on this play. Jason Ford to the near side is one of them. They give it to Suggs. Right up the middle, powering over the right side of the offensive line there. And again, it was Gabrione who stepped into the gap and made a good, strong hit, holding him to a gain of about 2 yards, Bill.
And the leading tackler is Matt Yeager. He's one of the captains. So you know that Gabrione certainly has come here to have an outstanding game. But there's some real good hitting going on out there.
Yeah, really. You can hear those pads up here. 2:55 remaining, first quarter of play. Two wideouts are Hawkins and Jason Ford. They give to the backup running back, Jerry Greer, who plays behind LeGrant Suggs. Boy, he had a quick step, quick explosive step for a gain of about 5.
And at one time, he was even a backup fullback. They had him at fullback and were starting, and then they decided to move him back to tailback because of his size. He's not quite as big as Mario Malone.
He's just a sophomore, Bill.
That's correct.
Exceptionally talented young man. And he wears the number 33, that was worn by Marvin Lampkin, who Coach Shannon says is the best running back he ever had at East St. Louis. Up they come, third down and 3. Approaching 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter, and
it's official timeout, Bill.
All right, this may be for a check of the gear here. I think one of the pieces of gear on one of the East St. Louis players may have come loose, and they got it reattached and are set to go. Out of a slot formation now this time. Everybody tight, double tight end set. And not quite getting the first down as they give it to Mario Malone, and he stopped. He got up, it appeared to be about a yard, and then, boy, he was pushed back hard.
That's interesting that East St. Louis now is just showing a wing-type offense. They haven't really shown any of the option that they have done in the past. And, you know, you're looking at one of the winningest coaches in the country, not only in Illinois, and Coach Shannon. And, you know, you wonder what he thought about coming into this state tournament, having faced Mount Carmel a year ago with the kind of things that he wants to do offensively.
Willie Fox to punt, a high snap, gets it away. It's an end-over-end punt, and this one is going to bounce, and I'll just have to let that one go. Roll down to about the 13, 12-yard line. as that time Matt Gersh decided to just lay off of that ball. There really wasn't too much he could do with it, and that is a 35-yard punt. Interestingly enough, East St. Louis, we know, does not have an exceptional kicking game, Bill. And in the last ball game, we saw how important that kicking game actually was, how important it was to both teams right down at the end of the game. And yet East St. Louis, even despite that, has been able to overcome and really make their kicking game a plus here in the early moments of this game. As Mount Carmel comes up to the line, 1st and 10. 1:04 remaining here in the first quarter. Miller hands it to one of his running backs. He gave it to Stewart going ahead, slanting over the right. Dana Howard was there to make the stop after a gain of 2.
And that's just the fullback up the middle, and they're going to look and see how East St. Louis is going to play it so they can set up their counter series and their counter option.
They do run the veer. Option-oriented defense. We have a timeout on the field at 40 seconds, and I think the official took it. And now the clock is whistled in, and up they come. Send a single wide out. Carl Boston to the near side, and now a wide out on the other side is Mike Griffin, far side of the field. Strong right formation and split backs. Miller to fake, going over the middle, and has his wide out on that side. Griffin coming back to the ball. Mike Griffin, who made his, right there, his 27th reception of the year. He averages over 12 yards a catch.
Well, and you see the replay right here. Dan Miller only taking a 5-yard step, cocks his arm and just throws it in there. And again, I have to say this because I don't see East St. Louis coming up on the ball for the kind of reaction that you would assume for 32 interceptions.
First down. They did get the first down yardage, so the route was perfectly run, just enough with a few inches to spare.
Well, they like that curl, either outside or inside, and that's their main pass pattern.
14 seconds left. We'll see if they get a play off. They're going to set Boston far and Griffin to the near side this time. The running backs are Stewart and J.J. Richards. And the play action fake. Miller going up over the middle for Boston, and he got blocked. He got blocked as he was trying to make his cut. He ran into it, looked like Marcus Bester, number 36.
Right.
And Dion Dean was also in the area.
It was a strong safety, and the receiver was running his route, and the free safety didn't see him. Bester didn't see him. He had turned his back, and they ran into each other, and that's called inadvertent.
All right, and that's the end of the first quarter. And so, with no score in the ball game, we'll be coming back. The penalty will be assessed when we return. Through 1 quarter of play, no score between Mount Carmel and East St. Louis. Well, the broadcast rights to the IHSA football championships have been granted to Sports Vision by the Illinois High School Association. Any reproduction or rebroadcast of this event without the written consent of Sports Vision and the IHSA is strictly prohibited. Bill Hazen back with Bill Gorley. No score in the football game beginning the second quarter here from the beautiful campus of Illinois State, Hancock Stadium.
In a minute, we'll have the first quarter stats, Bill, right after this offensive play.
All right, Strong left now on a 1st and 10. Miller to throw, looks to the near side and has his man under the defense, tight end, and the guy they want to go to, Mark Norville, carries it to about the 37-yard line. Mark Norville.
Bill, we'll watch it right here. Mark Norville kind of tiptoed in the tulips here, and they like to throw to him underneath. Here's a throw by Miller to Mark Norville. Now watch him go down the sidelines. The defensive back loses his footing, and here's Norville. Look at the steps. Look at him. Unbelievable. And of course, Carl Boston makes a nice block for Mark Norville as he tiptoes down the sideline.
All right, so we'll keep an eye out for Norville. You know, they didn't throw to him in the first quarter. Twin set. Now they give it off to one of their hammer backs, Matt Gersh, a messenger running back. They shuttle in their plays. Was Stewart and Gersh shuttle in the plays for Mount Carmel. Dana Howard was there to make the hit. Now there's, as you see, Gersh leaves the field, and now Stewart has come in, and that's how the plays are sent in.
In the first quarter stats, we had Mount Carmel with 39 yards total offense, East St. Louis with 36, and both teams with 2 first downs.
Boy, I'll tell you one thing. One thing you can say, the sound level of those pads hitting that ought to be a state record. They are hitting hard, hard. In fact, I think we may have a broken helmet out there. Well, at least it came loose. We've had a couple of situations like this early in the game.
But you know, that's not to take anything away from the other classes, because we heard some good hitting in some of those other games too. It's just that some of those people aren't quite as big as these 5A and 6A teams.
That's right. And these teams, I'll tell you what, there's a special emotional fuel going on here today. East St. Louis a year ago, they lost in the finals to Hershey. 2 years ago, Mount Carmel lost in the finals. And they know what it means to be here. They've both been here. Bart Newman, particularly at that right guard spot for Mount Carmel. He broke the record of Tony Furjanic, who played and started 35 consecutive games at Mount Carmel. He wants a state title very badly here today. The pitch across the 40 to the 44-yard line as Nairobi Allen carries it. Very elusive, slashing type runner.
And that's a reverse option where they reverse out and then pitch the ball. Now, not one of your classic pitches. You'll see it right here. It's kind of floater, but gets the job done nevertheless. And you see number 33, Nairobi Allen, making that turn up and getting a few yards. But you have to watch for the blocking, because Mark Norville, tight end in there, did an outstanding job also blocking for Nairobi.
Boston and Griffin are the wideouts. Counter option. And again, it's Nairobi Allen. Big hole up the sideline. And an excellent tackle there on the sideline as he was headed for big yards. That's a first down. Dwayne Rose, number 24, was able to bring him down. And again, you talk about blocks, same guy, Norville.
It's the same exact play, Bill. They just reverse the option, and he looks for Nairobi, and there's Mark Norville making the block. And it's to the short side of the field.
Boy, they really had that sealed off. They had it beautifully sealed off.
And it's a 17-yard gain.
10:32 remaining, second quarter of play. There is no score in the game. Mount Carmel is dressed in the light-colored uniforms. They have the white tops and the gold bottoms, and East St. Louis in the blue and the red. Up they come. There's
Nairobi's numbers.
That's his first big run of the day. Strong right formation. Play action fake from Miller. Going for Carl Boston. Has him inside the 30 at the 29-yard line before he was wrestled down by Dion Dean.
Well, you have to like the way Mount Carmel is mixing it up. They really have an excellent game plan going. East St. Louis right now doesn't know whether they were going to run the option. Here's a pass. Here's Dan Miller throwing that ball. Not a classic throw, but a great catch. Outstanding catch by... gee, I'm going to have to get new glasses here, Bill. You know that?
Well, Dion Dean was there in pass coverage. Carl Boston.
Carl Boston, right.
The reception.
I'm going to have to get my glasses adjusted here.
First down. Handoff up the middle. Goes to Matt Gersh, the messenger running back, and he gets it down to about the 25. And that is good for about a 3-yard gain. It'll be second down and 7. 9:49 remaining second quarter, and the caravan is loading up and on the move.
Yeah, at this point, you know, you expected a lot from East St. Louis defensively, and it looks like they're almost a little sluggish. They just aren't reacting to the ball, and I don't know if that's because of the kind of plays and how they're alternating their passing and running an option attack, and if that surprised East St. Louis a little bit.
First down. They did get the yardage for a first down, Bill, so up they come. Twin set, Griffin and Boston to the near side. A lot of receiving power over there. Tight end away from the open side of the field. They option the ball inside to Ed Stewart. On a counter option play, Bart Newman was trying to lead the block. They got some, but just a couple of yards.
Right, and their counter option is their main attack. They're looking all the time. They come out of the veer, they run the dive, and then they go to their counter.
Second down, they're going to give him 4 on that. They're pretty good blocking up there for Newman to get 4 yards out of that. There just wasn't a whole lot.
The other thing you want to look for now, after they've run their counter dive, is maybe look for the counter trap.
They split their wideouts now. Griffin to the near side, Boston to the far side, strong right. Play action fake. Miller looks for it. He has his tight end, Norville, under the defense. Out of bounds at the 12-yard line. That's a first down.
Bill, one thing you have to notice, any time that Dan Miller fronts out and goes with a little play action fake, then he's going to go and they throw the ball. You'll see it right here. He fronts out, gives a little play action fake. He's looking for the tight end the whole time, Mark Norville. There you see Mark Norville underneath the picture there, coming out, freeing himself up. Tremendous catch. Nice catch.
Right in the zone. Dwayne Rose made the stop, but he was in a gap there coming across in the coverage where really nobody had him. He was just in an open seam.
Well, he looks for that seam, Bill. He looks for the linebackers, and when the linebackers see pass and fly out of there, he goes to the open seam, and he has to read that as he's running.
Mario Malone was in front of him. You are talking about the linebackers, and indeed, it was that outside linebacker Malone who was the nearest player, but he was a good 5 yards off the ball there when the throw was made. 8:55 remaining in the second quarter, and this is the first sustained drive of the game.
Right, and I would think maybe there's a possibility that Coach Shannon might want to take a timeout where he can go out and talk to his people.
Well, he's just done that. He's just done that as East St. Louis has burned a timeout here.
Now, the statistic that we have right here certainly would indicate exactly what some of the coaches in the Catholic League said. Here's Miller, 5 of 6 for 51 yards, knows who he's going to get on the passes and picks them out and throwing the ball real well.
Twin set to the right, Boston and Griffin. Up they come to the line of scrimmage. Tight end is Norville. He's over on the far side, away from the open side. Allen and Ed Stewart are the backs. Hand off to Stewart inside, and that's that counter option, a quick give inside down to about the 10-yard line.
And again, he reverses out. Anytime he reverses out, you're going to see the counter option. When he fronts out in little play action, you're going to see the pass.
Mario Malone was there to make the hit. And it's a second down and about 8. The clock continues to run. And right now, Mount Carmel is down knocking on the door. First downs, Mount Carmel with 6, East St. Louis with 2. East St. Louis has gotten the big turnover of the game, though. They got it on their kicking game. Could not convert it into a score. Griffin and Boston, the wideouts again. They got a strong right this time. Play action fake. Looking over the middle, and I think Griffin was the target. Griffin and Norville were in the area, but neither could get to the ball. Dion Dean on pass coverage along with Marcus Bester.
Well, you know, Norville looked at Mike Griffin, and Mike Griffin looked at him because they were both in the same area, and I think there was a little confusion on who was supposed to run what route.
Third down and 8.
There's the completion, 5 of 7 for 51 yards for Dan Miller.
Near the goal line here. Third down and 8. They can get a first down without a touchdown. The pitch goes to Ed Stewart down the sideline. He's close to the first down. I don't think he got it. We'll have to wait and see how the officials spot this ball. Ed Stewart, who started most of the season. Mark Norville was out there leading the blocking, and he is about a yard and a half short. Now what do you do?
That's the third good block. Now you'll see it right here in the pitch, but you can't see Mark Norville. There you do. You do see the block. That's the third time that we've seen the counter option, and Mark Norville has made the key block.
They're going to go for it. 2 wideouts, Boston and Griffin. Gersh is in there. The pitch to Gersh. Goes for the flag. He's got the first down. He's got the first down right at the goal line.
Excellent job by Dan Miller. Excellent fake inside. Counter option pitch.
Jason Ford ran him over. That was a touchdown saving tackle, but boy, there wasn't much real estate left.
Take a look at it here, Bill. You see that good fake, and then they see the option pitch to Stewart, and he's going for the flag. Not quite. Doesn't stick his nose right in there, but he gets the first down.
First and goal. 8:02 remaining second quarter. Now they've got their real tight set. The quarterback Miller sneaking. Touchdown, Mount Carmel! The Caravan.
Perfect example. That's a clinic of series football that we saw Mount Carmel on that offensive drive.
And the Caravan hit the end zone first for a 6-0 lead. The score coming with 8 minutes remaining in the second quarter of play. Mount Carmel sustained a long drive, and really their defense did it for them earlier, Bill, when they were able to ride out a turnover and not get hurt.
That's a good point, Bill, because early in the year, the offense, let's get the kick here first, and we'll talk about what they've done earlier in the year.
Hansen will hold. Norville will kick. And we have a flag here. Well, while they straighten this out, go ahead.
What I was going to say, Bill, early in the year, Mount Carmel was averaging 30 points a game. In the last 5 games, they've only scored 55 points, so the defense has had to take over and do the job. The offense hasn't run this well since early in the season.
Well, now this extra point does not become academic, and I'll tell you why. This is being kicked into a pretty good breeze, I would say, in the neighborhood of 10 miles an hour, judging by the flags. And Hansen will hold. Norville is on to kick it. This will be the equivalent of a 25 or 26-yard field goal now. The try to get it. Oh, they just barely got the ball down, and it's good. That was a pretty good kick.
Norville's a pretty good athlete.
We'll pause. 8 minutes remaining. Second quarter of play. Mount Carmel has scored a touchdown with the conversion for a 7-0 lead. Well, Frank Linty's Mount Carmel Caravan finds itself staked to a 7-0 lead here in the second quarter of play. Bill Hazen back with Bill Gorley, and let's see how they got the touchdown.
Let's look at the replay. It's just a 1-yard run. Dan Miller just follows behind his guard, puts his nose right in there, right behind Bart Newman.
Not surprising. We know Bart Newman is one of their big guys. Bart, by the way, does play a little defense, but only on goal line situations. They like to rest him unless they absolutely really need him for a key moment in the game. So here's the story on that drive.
No, that's a summary. 15 plays, 87 yards, 5:15, and that was a classic. I thought that was one of the best series I've seen from a high school football team in a long, long time. Not only in the championship series, but in the last couple of years. That was classic. And I think East St. Louis is a little bit confused at the kind of offense they're running and the types of plays. I think they've broken down their plays real well, and East St. Louis isn't ready for it.
Well, to kick off will be Mark Norville, who just kicked that extra point. It was not an easy one. Goes up the middle. Cecil Hawkins takes it at the 12 to the 20. We had a whistle, and we had is there a flag? Yes, there was a flag that flew at the 40. Could be offsides on the kick. Usually that's the situation when the flag falls in that area. Well, not much of a kick anyway.
Dead ball foul, encroachment on the kicking team. 5 yards, repeat the kick.
By the way, the gentleman responsible for handling our state championship 6A final today. This group is from the suburbs of Chicago, Batavia, Naperville, Plainfield, and Aurora. Thomas Gary, our referee, Donald Schultz, Carl Clinworth, Richard Rokop, and Howard Burns. From the 35-yard line. Set to kick. And Norville drives it. It'll be taken by Bester, Marcus Bester, and his knee touch, that's it. He's not going anywhere. How about that?
Right, well, and that happens so many times in high school and in college. People forget. They want to make sure they field it correctly because the coaches have told them don't fumble the ball, and he goes to his knee. And we'll be able to see it right here in the replay where the ball is actually grounded. There's his knee right there. He'd make a good third baseman picking that up.
Yeah, or a catcher or something. He did a nice job with a good stop there. East St. Louis goes in the attack. Vernon Powell brings him up. He has Malone and Suggs behind him, and the handoff goes to Suggs. They kind of collided there at the line of scrimmage, and once again trying to go up the middle. Matt Yeager, number 86. He is the guy, the emotional fuel, the leader on this defensive unit for Mount Carmel. He stopped him cold. Second down and 9. And looked like the traffic got a little heavy there.
Here's a confusion right here. They run into each other. And this time of the year, you usually don't get that kind of a problem because they have had to do it so many times, they get accustomed to working with each other. There's a total yards, 103 to 37, Bill.
Ford and Hawkins, the wide out. They're lofting it up on the near side for Hawkins. He can't get to it. That's just one of those timing plays. Just throw it up there and run under it.
Well, they list Pee Wee Hawkins at 5'7", 150, but he has said he is 5'5", 130.
Did he get bumped at the line of scrimmage? Is that why he had trouble getting off the line? Because it looked like it was just thrown to a spot and he just couldn't get there.
Yes, he did a little bit, but I don't know that it was that badly. I think Vernon's Powell took his eyes off of him, and he was hoping that he would get under it.
3rd and 9. Now they go to a wing formation with everybody tight, needing big yardage. Play action fake. Powell looking, throws under the defense. Incomplete as he was going out of the backfield, was trying to reach one of his running backs here. Matt Yeager made the big hit on DeCarlo Buckner, a tight end. Young man who had an appendectomy before the Belleville West game.
Get a chance to see it right here. Matt Yeager, the leading tackler, solo tacklers with 76, making a tremendous play.
6:59 remaining. 4th down and 9. And Willie Fox in the ball game to do the punting. They put some pressure on. He got it off. That's a pretty good punt. Had a good wind. Fielded at the 40-yard line and across to the 48 before Matt Gersh runs out of room, and it was DeCarlo Buckner, the guy who couldn't hang on to that last pass, who made the hit.
And that's the 4th punt that East St. Louis has had this afternoon.
34 yards on the punt. And there's a good look at Frank Lenti, part of a very famous coaching family and athletic family. The winner, 1986 and 1988 winner of the Tony Lawless Award for coaching excellence in the Catholic League. He was a co-winner this year with Todd Wernette of St. Rita. So our congratulations to him on that 1st and 10. And they give the ball straight ahead. This is a good game. Look out, this could be a touchdown. Going down the sideline, Nairobi Allen, he's in there. 53 yards. Nairobi Allen.
And no flag, Bill. I double-checked it. Well, that was just an inside option. And Nairobi, once he saw that open space, he just took off. We're talking about speed. He has some speed of his own.
Went over his left guard. That was Newman, I think, once again. And that was an enormous hole. And we mentioned that was one of the guys they really need to get going. And he just got going. 13-0 on that 53-yard touchdown. 6:41, the time of the score. To try the extra point. Norville was up. And it's there, 14-0. And so now Mount Carmel has put themselves, Roman anyway, squarely in the driver's seat in this game.
Interesting story on Nairobi Allen. He did not start earlier. He just said, well, you sit down until you're ready to play and play under our conditions.
You know, it's kind of funny because he's been known to knock over people who are about 100 pounds heavier than he is.
Here we'll get the chance to just look at that. It's just a straight-ahead drive. He's just following right behind his lineman, Bart Newman, making the key block, and then he just turns on the burners, Bill, and runs away from everybody.
Well, there you go. There's no doubt about his quickness or his speed, his ability to do it when he gets to an open spot. Boy, he did it right there, 14-0. Great blocks in front of him. And here's another situation, as we saw last year. If there was one thing I came away with from a year ago, I thought East St. Louis had a tough time with a big Hersey team. And once again, they're having a hard time. They have the quickness, they have the athletic ability, they're a good finesse team, but they're having a tough time here. They really got knocked off the line of scrimmage on that particular play. Here's the kickoff, taken by an up man at the 30-yard line. Across the 35. Did he have his knee down too? He sure did.
Call it again.
How in the world can that happen twice in a half? And quickly, DeMond Hunt was the young man. And DeMond had,
I think you see it here from the end zone, and you'll see a good reason why. There he is.
Yeah.
He had his knee down, and then he fumbled the ball and then went to pick it up. So DeMond Hunt downs the football with his knee.
So East St. Louis has a lot of work to do. 6:30 remaining here in the first half of play. They send Ford as a wideout to the far side. Cecil Hawkins is a wideout to the near side. See if they change any elements of their attack, and indeed they do. Up over the middle, the pass incomplete for Hawkins at about the 45-yard line as Powell threw a ball and landed in front of him about 2 yards.
One of the keys, I think, for East St. Louis, Bill, is that they want to establish the run and then go with the pass. Then I think it makes them real dangerous. Now, with being behind 14-0, if you force them to throw the football, I don't think they can be quite as effective with their running game.
They've sent Benny Radford in. He's a backup. They do use him some as a wing back. In fact, they've used him about every way. He's one of their utility guys. He does everything pretty well. Powell had trouble getting away from the center. He's going to get hit. He got away from one man, but not this time. Powell, it seemed like a little slippery as he was going back from the center. He couldn't get his traction.
And what a relentless defense after Vernon Powell.
Man, they had a lot of gang tackling on that particular situation.
Look at the total yardage here, Bill. Nairobi Allen, 80 yards, and East St. Louis only having 34. Does that tell you something about the defense?
Well, it really does. Tells you a little bit about Nairobi, too. Tells you two things at once. Right now, Mount Carmel has it going. 3rd down and 13, conversion down. And it would have seemed this would be a passing situation for Powell. He's going to roll out in the pocket. Puts it in the air, and it's caught for a first down at midfield. A beautiful catch as that ball was hauled in by DeAndre Murphy, who is the 4th string tight end on his team. And I'll tell you what, they'll throw to anybody.
Well, as long as they'll catch it, you'll see it right here. Vernon Powell rolling out, looking for someone deep. He's not going to go underneath. There he is.
Boy, great throw.
And he was wide open. There was no defender within 5 yards of him. Mike Pippin making the tackle, the free safety, one of the returning defensive players for Mount Carmel.
So the Flyers convert a big first down, and they're on the move with 5:11 remaining second quarter. They're trailing 14-0. Powell, how did he get away from that sack? Trying to outrun people. Throws it. Incomplete. And boy, did East St. Louis dodge a bullet. How did he get away from the grasp of Matt Yeager?
I don't know, Bill, but that's the second time that's happened. And you can see the kind of athlete Vernon Powell is when he gets away from people and is then able. He's exciting. He makes things happen.
2nd down and 10.
Here you'll see it. There's a shot. Yeager's got him right in his sights. He spins around, spins away from him, and then comes out and has enough presence of mind right here, throwing against his body to be able to throw the ball and not lose yardage.
Yeah, he had big Dave Guzman chasing him. He outran him. And Vernon Powell doesn't have that passing game going just yet, but he did hit that big one just a few moments ago. Handoff goes to Greer, Jerry Greer, and trying to cut over the right side, got into Mount Carmel territory at the 49 for Greer. And as I say, for a sophomore, he's playing superbly. Pete Gabrione made the hit for Mount Carmel.
LeGrant Suggs, who was named the starting tailback, he's had some injuries. He's been out for at least 2 or 3 games, and maybe he's got a problem because we don't see him in here right now, Bill.
Hawkins and Ford are the wideouts. What would appear to be a passing situation. A straight drop for Vernon Powell. Guns it over the middle, hits his tight end, but he's not going to get the necessary yardage for a first down here as he went to DeCarlo Buckner. Boy, they're using a lot of tight ends here. Matt Yeager was there and really stuck him.
Oh, I'll tell you what, they're really playing some tough defense. I mean, if they're catching the ball, they're making them pay for it.
Yeah. And that was a good catch by Buckner. He had to concentrate to hang on to the ball. And now a punt again for Willie Fox. 4th down and 5. Single back going back to receive is Matt Gersh. There's a look at Mann at about the 10. Bad snap. Fox had to cover. No way he could punt it. A turnover.
And Bill, before we came up to the booth, we were talking to some people from East St. Louis, and they said that was probably one of their weakest parts of their football game was the kicking game, and we saw a good example. You'll see the snap here on the replay where it's just a bad snap. And whenever you have a lineman trying to catch a ball back there, you're going to have trouble. Anytime you see that funny-looking number back there, if that ball isn't where it should be.
Yeah, I hear you. Carl Boston and Griffin, the wideouts. Now Mount Carmel wants to go right back to work if they can. 1st and 10, strong right. Play action fake. Miller, he thought about going for it all. Gets his tight end, Norville. Goes over one man and is knocked down at the 15-yard line. That was a heck of a tackle by Dwayne Rose. He thought he got rolled over by a steamroller, but my goodness, Dwayne Rose hung in there, and he made the tackle.
Well, Dane Miller was looking to Mike Griffin, and then Norville broke out in the open. Here you could see him. He sees Norville. That was his second choice. Norville was not his first choice. He was looking to go to Mike Griffin, and, of course, Norville makes a nice play.
You know what I like about Miller? You said he doesn't throw a great ball, but you know what? It's a soft ball. It's an easy ball to catch.
And not only that, he makes completions.
Yeah, exactly. 1st and 10, 16-yard line. Miller, the option play. They go ahead and give it to Ed Stewart, and there's going to be nothing here. Got a little mix-up on that, and they paid for it as that East St. Louis defense, Dana Howard, like a piranha, was in there on the ball carrier.
Well, you see the mix-up on the handoff here on the replay. Dan Miller hands the ball, and, of course, I don't know if it's so much of a mix-up as it is that East St. Louis stuffed the hole, and then, of course, you have the tackle, and Jason Ford's right there.
Ford and Howard. 2:42 remaining, second quarter of play. If you joined us late, the 6A finals coming to you from Hancock Stadium in Normal, Illinois. 14-0 Mount Carmel leading over the Flyers of East St. Louis. Double tight end set. Miller puts it in the air, overthrows Carl Boston at the goal line on a 2nd down and 10.
And Bill, number 47, the favorite target, was wide open in the corner of the end zone.
How about that? Well, I'm sure that information mental note was made on that in a hurry, either upstairs in the coaching booth just below us here, Bill, or perhaps by the receiver himself. Sometimes you go back there and you say, hey, I was wide open there. If we run that again, we can do some business over there.
And Dan Miller, the quarterback for Mount Carmel, 6 of 9 for 78 yards. As we look at Mark Norville as they break the huddle.
Boston and Griffin. The wideouts to the left would appear to be a passing situation. Strong right. Down the line option play. Nairobi Allen. Oh, he lost the ball. He wanted to throw it. Kept the ball and went forward to about the 13-yard line.
That was a halfback pass off the option. He couldn't get the handle on it, and he was smart enough to be able to reach up, grab the ball, and run the football and make something out of nothing.
Oh, my.
Here, we'll see it right here. Now watch him. He gets the pitch. The pitch is not bad, but he can't get a handle on the ball, and he's running the wrong way. His momentum is carrying him to the sidelines. He can't hold on to that ball.
You know, that's a hard pass for a right-handed passer to make. A good quarterback has trouble making that pass.
Well, you got to roll your hips up. There's a lot of things you have to learn how to do, and you got to remember those halfbacks don't do that very often.
So it is 4th down and 7. Would appear to be a field goal situation, and Norville indeed is lining up the angle on it, as you see Nairobi Allen over on the sidelines, on the Mount Carmel sidelines. Boy, these are two really great football programs with great tradition. We certainly want to emphasize that. East St. Louis has been so incredibly dominant for so many years. Bob Shannon, literally a very inspirational man, one of the most inspirational men in high school football anywhere in the country today.
And he's a gentleman. He's one of the finest coaches I've had the chance to be able to talk to on occasions. And besides that, he has a record of 130 and 19. He's won the state championship 4 times. He was second once in '87. And going into this football game, he was ranked 6th nationally in USA Today.
The try for the field goal. Dave Hansen is in the hold. Come from the far hash mark, 31-yard shot for Norville. It's down. Kick is away, doesn't have a lot of mustard. It just flat out missed it. They didn't really get a good foot on the ball there, and so East St. Louis is held.
He didn't get a turn on the ball. He just didn't hit it solid, and he didn't get the ball to be able to turn. And with this wind, because of the way it was, and he didn't get any height, the ball just went flat.
And Mount Carmel, you know what's interesting about this, Bill, is Mount Carmel has scored its touchdowns against the wind this quarter. And we'll take a look here. We'll be able to see about that breeze. We mentioned it earlier.
Now you'll see he doesn't get his foot all the way through the ball, and you don't see the turn. You see the ball is going every which way. He didn't really get the kind of kick you needed in that kind of wind.
Again for Cecil Hawkins, same play as before as we return live. That's that little pass. Now they tried that. It's a timing play. He just throws it up along the sideline.
Right, Bill, and you had asked earlier, had Pee Wee been bumped on the line of scrimmage, and he had been, and Vernon didn't look upfield, and he just threw it, and this time he didn't get the bump, but still didn't complete the pass.
That's not an easy, yeah, they refer to that as a fade pattern, and if anybody ought to know that, it's Tim Dunn, who is one of our spotters, assistant coach at Barrington High School. Big Tim is in here leading the blocking for us in the booth. 2nd down and 10. Vernon Powell on a fake, throws it, has his man. Good reception across the 40-yard line as he throws it to Jerry Creer. And I think they had Creer lined up outside that time, Bill.
Yes,
Normally he's a running back.
They had him as a flanker. Let's take a look at it.
I'm sorry, it was Jason Ford. It was Ford.
Let's look at it from the field. Now, a lot of people have said that they didn't think Vernon Powell is a quarterback, but I'll tell you what, he threw that ball pretty well.
Right on the button.
And there's Jason Ford making the completion.
High Ford to the far side, and they have Hawkins to the near side. They have a good receiving power right here. 1st and 10, 42-yard line. East St. Louis, you get the feeling they're just ready to bust it loose. They tried to get it to Hawkins this time. They faked the fade pattern and then tried to flip it over to him as he just kind of held his position and couldn't get it to him. 2nd down and 10. On coverage there, Mike Pippin stayed right with him. Mike is playing with a rubberized cast on his hand. He's had to protect. He has a broken hand. Would you believe that Mount Carmel has 3 players with broken hands playing out there today?
No, that happens when you hit those masks and those helmets.
And 2nd down and 10. Good drop for Powell. Thought about looking for Ford. He's going to have to get out of there.
Ooh.
Oh, and man, was he
goodness.
hit. Oh, was he hit hard.
My goodness.
Gabrion was in there. Dave Guzman, big number 74, was in there.
Woo. And I'll tell you what, if I go back to that huddle and I'm Vernon Powell, I'm going to talk to those linemen. Here's a replay. look at all of those bodies that are coming after him. All white shirts, and I mean every one of them is putting on. Look at that hit right there. If that doesn't straighten you out, well, I tell you what, my back teeth are sore.
3rd and 10. I'll say, Jason Ford, a wideout. Ford and Hawkins, they may have to throw it again. Let's see. Vernon Powell. Look out, look out. Shoveled it forward. I don't know if that's a screen play or what. They get a first down out of it. I don't know what in the world that was. Mario Malone was the guy who took the ball on a rather kind of an ad-lib screen, it looked like. Well, and Marty Schumacher made the hit. That's what it was intended to be, but the rush was on. You'll see the rush right here. They're blitzing. Everybody all out blitz. He did whatever he had to do as an athlete and pushed the ball and said, you guys take it. It's like a hot potato. Well, it worked. 46-yard line. Ford and Hawkins, the wideouts. They're in the I-back field this time. Going up over the middle. Goes underneath to Dana Howard at the 35, the 30. Look at this big young man. Gets inside the 30 to the 27-yard line. And if they can get Dana Howard going, East St. Louis is going to be a much better football team. East St. Louis feels, and he's only a junior, by the way, Bill, that he's probably one of the best prospects that they have right now. And he came in to take another young man's place, Keno Johnson, who they think is a definite prospect. Here's the replay, and you see Dana Howard make a little turn inside. A defender comes up. He makes a nice move for a big man. He's 6'2", what, 220? Yep. Timeout has been called on the field. You were talking about Keno Johnson. He's been hurt. Had orthoscopic surgery. He's been out all year. He tried to come back too soon on it. Now the clock stopped at 31 seconds remaining here in the second quarter, and East St. Louis has a way to go. Here's 6A. Game in-depth discussion and debate of all the sports with the sports writers on TV. Ben Bentley, Bill Gleason, Bill Joust, Rick Tallender. They bring you the yesterdays, todays, and tomorrows. All discussed Monday at 7 p.m. on Sports Vision. That's a great, great show. 31 seconds remaining, second quarter of a 14-0 football game. Bill Hazen and Bill Gorley. Tim Dunn, our spotter. Statistician Chris Lindsley from the Sports Information Office at Illinois State University. And now a big conversion play, 31 seconds left as East St. Louis comes up. And as they come out of the huddle, Powell is 5 of 11 for 80 yards. He's making a comeback with throwing the football. Yeah, they are indeed. They've had to abandon a little bit of their game plan. Malone and Suggs are the running backs. Now Suggs is back in there, Bill. We haven't seen that much of him today. The play action fake a little bit. Thrown on the run. Caught. Ford with a beautiful catch on the sideline. Couldn't get out of bounds at the 19. East St. Louis has one timeout left. Mount Carmel 2. And a timeout for a measurement here. I bet they're going to get that play in there as quickly as possible. They have it set. Clock has not started yet. 25 seconds it holds. Well, and Coach Shannon yelling advice to his troops, trying to get that ball in a hurry with 25 seconds left. Yeah, Coach Shannon was thinking they were just going to spot the ball, make sure they had it spotted, and he thought, all right, let's get our play and let's get up to the line. And sure enough, they brought the sticks out now, and so now they'll go ahead and check it. They're about a yard short. Well, East St. Louis has done a great job on the clock. Here's a replay now. Again, you had talked about going to your left and throwing with the right. There's Powell making a play to Ford, and of course he couldn't get out of bounds to stop the clock. Jason Ford, who was shifted to flanker this year, goes as a wideout to the far side of the field. Cecil Hawkins to the near side. They have Creer and Malone in there right now as the backs behind Vernon Powell. See whether they try to get Powell outside where he can do some things. And indeed, he's rolling that way. He has Creer to block for him. Throws it under the defense. Incomplete on a great defensive play. Wow, what a play that was for Charlton Moore, a backup cornerback, basketball player for Mount Carmel. Well, you know that Vernon Powell is most dangerous when he rolls out, and we see a good example of it there, and then you see that tremendous defensive football play for Mount Carmel. 3rd down and 1, still 15 seconds left. There's a look at Charlton Moore. How far do you go? You try to put it in the end zone here, Bill? You've got 15 seconds. Let's see. Powell thinks about it. Guns it up the middle. Has Cecil Hawkins. Touchdown! What a big play! And all that because Vernon Powell is running around. They can't contain him, and that gives the opportunity for the receivers to get open. East St. Louis is on the board. The score coming with 10 seconds left in the first half.
Just when Mount Carmel was starting to feel comfortable, the East St. Louis comes back, and we'll see a replay. Now, here's where he's dangerous, Bill. He rolls out. He looks. He knows he's going to Cecil, and there's Cecil. He makes a nice little move and sneaks in. Now, only a guy 5'5" can sneak in like that.
DeCarlos Nicholson will try the extra point. Kick on the way. It's good. And our score with 10 seconds remaining in the second quarter. East St. Louis got something they really needed from that young man. And you're looking at Cecil Hawkins. And they say that he's been the difference in the offense this year. He caught 3 touchdowns as a split end in the win over Alton.
And when you're down 14-0 or whatever, if you're down just before the half, there's nothing better for your spirits as a football team to be able to score just before the half.
Yeah, really. That gives a lot of momentum. And it'll certainly wake up anybody at Mount Carmel who was thinking that this game was in the bag or anywhere near it, that they have a real tough football game on their hands. Well, and Bill, I mentioned it a couple plays earlier. I was curious to see if they would try to get Vernon Powell outside, and that's what I meant, getting him in a position where he can do some things.
Right. Well, that's good. That's exactly, and that's what they want to do. They want to break the contain, get him to run around because of his athletic ability, and he's going to make things happen, as we saw it on the replay when he gave it to Pee Wee Hawkins. There's a picture of Pee Wee. Look at him. Maybe he's 5'2".
Cecil Hawkins, boy, is he something. He is really something to watch.
And Bill, that drive was 73 yards in 9 plays.
Here's the kick and a boomer. That won't be returned. Whoa, man, was that ball hit? DeCarlos Nicholson, who's a straight-on kicker. Excuse me, that was Jason Ford. Jason Ford, who's a straight-on kicker, and boy, he boomed that ball. Of course, that breeze has picked up a little bit.
Well, they play so much football at East St. Louis, they probably don't play soccer, so nobody knows how to kick it soccer style.
Yeah, they're straight-on guys, aren't they? Well, it's a great drive for East St. Louis. 9 plays, 73 yards in 1:56. Well, now, what do you do if you're Mount Carmel? You just go ahead and, yeah, I know what you're going to do. The so-called victory formation, as it's often been referred to. and I know you always enjoy that.
Yeah, I really like that. Victory.
And that is the end of the first half, and Mount Carmel has a victory, at least at the end of one half of play. They've outscored East St. Louis 14-7. Bill and I will be coming back. We will be reviewing this first half of play. And boy, what a great first half we've had here. Much in the tradition of the other games we've seen in the IHSA finals. Our score at half, Mount Carmel Caravan 14 and the Flyers of East St. Louis 7. Well, we have an exciting football game going as the Caravan of Mount Carmel and the Flyers of East St. Louis are battling for the 6A title. Coming your way from the campus of Illinois State University, and East St. Louis has scored here right at the end of the half to give us a 14-7 ball game, and a very, very impressive performance by East St. Louis, Bill Gorley, as they put one on the board when they really needed it.
Well, it looked like Mount Carmel was going to run away with it, Bill. It was 14-0, and East St. Louis looked a little sluggish, and then, of course, Vernon Powell went to work. He started breaking containment, started using his athletic ability, getting to the outside, and then that opened up his receivers, and, of course, in the last 25 seconds, they score a touchdown with a pass from Vernon Powell to Pee Wee Hawkins.
I thought one of the nice catches was the fact that they were able to get Dana Howard open for a big and very crucial reception for them in the drive.
Well, I think that was the key play in the drive, really. I mean, you always like to have the touchdown, but I think that run by Dana Howard and his move, I think, really inspired East St. Louis to go ahead and get that touchdown.
I was very concerned about East St. Louis. We mentioned it early in the game. They are a small, quick, active, athletic team, but they're not an overpowering physical team. And Mount Carmel, I thought, really took it to them, and then trailing 2 touchdowns, a lot of teams could almost consider folding under those kind of circumstances.
Well, and I think, too, that Mount Carmel's offense confused them as to what they were doing down in distance. Coach Shannon, of course, had the rhythm and knew what they were looking for, and Mount Carmel did the opposite, and I think that confused the players.
All right, Mount Carmel got off to a good start. I think you mentioned that their first drive particularly was one of the best you've seen in a while.
Well, it was 15 plays, and they just picked the spots for throwing. They ran the counter option correctly, and of course, as we mentioned earlier, there's a series-type football, and they did it to the T.
Well, we've seen two very good teams here, and East St. Louis is trying to win a state title, much as they did during their run when they won 3 straight. You're going to meet a gentleman who just recently played a football game against East St. Louis, Naperville North. You're going to meet their head coach just coming up in a few moments, Larry McKeon, and you'll have a chance to compare notes a little bit about this East St. Louis team and also what Naperville North is doing. They had a nice season, too. We'll do that when we return to the campus of Illinois State.
Here we are high above Hancock Stadium with the Illinois High School Association Championships, and we're in the 6A game. Mount Carmel Caravan 14, East St. Louis Flyers 7, in a real interesting game because Mount Carmel looked like they were going to blow the Flyers right out. And with me is the head football coach at Naperville North, Larry McKeon. And Larry, you've had the opportunity to see these East St. Louis Flyers because you played against them in the semifinal game. What were your thoughts when you saw Mount Carmel put 14 points up on the board and East St. Louis with a big goose egg?
Well, I'll tell you, I know Mount Carmel's got an excellent football team, but East St. Louis generally starts out their games very conservatively. They start to open up a little bit later in the half, as you saw with Vernon Powell throwing the ball more and trying to hit on some of the rollout patterns, but they usually come out second half and open it up a little bit. They've been conservative in the playoffs the first half, but Cecil Hawkins and Vernon Powell, when they get together in that second half, they're a tough combination to stop.
Well, what about the series that we saw Mount Carmel run? It was a classic, at least I thought it was. 15 plays, they picked their places for the kind of plays they wanted. Did that surprise you? Do you think that surprised East St. Louis?
I think it did surprise East St. Louis. I think when a team mixes up the pass well and has good kids at the skill positions, that they're going to be successful against East St. Louis. And I thought that they were a little bit confused because they had mixed up their plays so well. But, you know, they're a tough team to be consistent against because they have such great speed over there in that defense.
Well, when you went into the game, when you were playing them, what was your plan? How were you going to stop East St. Louis and Vernon Powell?
Well, we felt what we had to do, just like every team feels, I think, is we have to contain him from rolling out and trying to throw on the run. And for the most part, we were successful with that. And then in the second half, or right before the end of the first half, they scored with 6 seconds left in the half to tie the score at 6. But we had contained Powell up to that time. In the second half, Hawkins got loose a few times on us, and they took the ball inside our 10 one time and ended up scoring on a 4th down play. But, you know, I think that's our game plan as well as it is Frank Lindy's at Mount Carmel, that they have to stop him on the rollout and contain Cecil Hawkins. And I know that they've been playing Hawkins real tough from that corner position. They've been coming up and bumping and running with him. So I'm sure that's what their offensive game plan is.
Well, I know you're a big football team, but East St. Louis is a big football team, too. They averaged 245 offensively and 240 defensively. How did you counteract that fact that they had that plus the speed?
Well, we're not a big football team, and we just told our kids if you could bite their ankles for a few seconds that we might be successful. But, you know, they have the great combination of great size and speed, and what surprises you is that the bigger kids really can, you know, pick them up and lay them down. They're really fast kids, and they get to the football, and I think that that's a great combination to have with any kind of team, whether it's pro or high school or college. If you have the great size and speed, you're going to get to the football.
Well, I know when you say you're not big, Coach, you played off in the States, and that's where I happen to work. And, of course, to those people, you were big.
Well, I think it must be the uniforms or something, because I always think the other team looks bigger than your own team. You know, the fans in the stands, you always feel that.
You look at the weights on these people for East St. Louis and Mount Carmel, and Mount Carmel feels they're small. They don't feel they're that big. They said Bart Newman at 235, a guard, is small. Well, I'd like to have a couple 235-pounders.
Yeah, I'd say so. You know, Mount Carmel, I think pound for pound may be a little bit bigger than East St. Louis, although East St. Louis has two kids that are 250 and 260. On the whole, I think Mount Carmel, they're averaging around 198 pounds, you know, somewhere in that area. That's nice size for a high school football team.
Okay, it's halftime. What adjustments would you make right now to make sure that Vernon Powell doesn't get outside?
Well, I think that what they're doing is good. They're trying to contain him with their defensive tackles and not allowing him to get out and try to make the roll. But I think there's only so much that you're going to be able to contain with Powell, because when he does break contain, he's going to still throw the ball while he's on the run, and he's about as good as I've seen as throwing on the run. He really gets the ball out there in a bullet. But I think what's going to happen if they do contain him that way, you're going to see some quarterback draws where he's going to go right back up in the middle. So he's a great athlete, and I think that Mount Carmel's doing an excellent job right now.
Larry, I just want to appreciate you for stopping by and getting your thoughts. We'd like to have some of the highlights, and We'll be right back after this message.
A lot of people out there, I guess, talk a good game, but comes time to put up, it's a little bit different story.
Good, solid players. They have been doing it for a while. Johnson right up the middle, and he's going to score! Touchdown!
We expected a tremendous 6A final game, and we have one going right here from the campus of Illinois State University in Normal, Illinois, as the sun is descending in the west and footballs are filling the air here. This, the season finale, and a big finish that we've had in the first half of play. Mount Carmel leading at 14-7 over East St. Louis. Bill Hazen back with Bill Gorley. We're up here in the booth now, and we've seen a good first half of football, and I think, at least as far as East St. Louis was concerned, Bill, good news for them, and they finally found a way to get their athletic people going for them.
Right, and of course it's going to be interesting when they come out in the second half, just exactly what they're going to do, what they plan on doing with Vernon Powell. You heard our little talk with Coach McEwen from Naperville North. It'll be interesting to see if they want to throw the ball as much or if they just try to run Powell outside.
Mount Carmel got out quickly in this ball game. They were able to score and take a lead in the ball game. This capped a long drive. Dan Miller takes it over.
Well, and this was a 15-play series, and Dan Miller just from the 1-yard line out, and he goes in right behind guard Bart Newman for a 7-0 lead.
And then they made it 14-0 when they found a way to get Nairobi Allen. Watch him, he's on the top of your screen.
Right, Nairobi Allen, number 33, again right behind Bart Newman, and then you see him accelerate. He puts it all on, and there isn't anybody from East St. Louis that can catch him, and of course it's a 58-yard touchdown run.
Man, great job. Explosive speed. Hang on to that ball. He sure enough did. East St. Louis came back with time closing out, just seconds left in the half, and they found a way to get Powell in the open, and Cecil Hawkins will catch the ball here.
Here again, it's Vernon Powell's athletic ability, and Pee-wee Hawkins catches that ball and then makes a slide into second base for the touchdown. But the key was Dana Howard earlier.
Well, that's a great job there as East St. Louis came running back, and for a while I thought that Mount Carmel was really playing exactly the football game that they wanted, and now East St. Louis has made some adjustments, and they seem to be, we're going to have a great second half here.
The second half, I was just going to say, it has to really be exciting because Frank Lenny can't afford to sit on a 14-7 lead with the kind of explosiveness that the East St. Louis Flyers have created with Vernon Powell being able to get the outside.
Yeah, it's terrific. Now, what about defensively? A quick thought before we go away. What about containing a player like Vernon Powell with the things that he can do?
Well, I think you saw a lot more blitzes towards the end of the football game, and I would think that maybe Mount Carmel might go to those blitzes, knowing full well that if they put a lot of pressure on Vernon Powell, there's no way he's going to get to the outside.
Oh, keep an eye out for that in the second half. Stay tuned. Second half action is coming up when we return to the campus of Illinois State.
If it's college hockey excitement you want, Sports Vision has it with the UIC Flames. Head coach Val Belmonte has a solid squad with 7 of the top 10 scorers from last year's team, including seniors Todd Byer and Sheldon Gorski. You can also see the Flames live at the UIC Pavilion. Tickets are available through Ticketron and at the Pavilion box office. Charge tickets by phone at 853-3636. The UIC Flames and Sports Vision, Chicago's winners on cable.
Hi, I'm Tex Schramm. For 11 years, I've enjoyed doing the Dallas Cowboys Weekly, a very special television show. We take you behind the scenes, letting you know inside information. And what would our show be without the cheerleaders? Only on Dallas Cowboys Weekly, and only here on Chicago Sports Vision.
Where can you find Wayne Gretzky in his first game as a Los Angeles King?
Oh, did he root that baby?
Where will you see the Edmonton Oilers take aim on their 5th Stanley Cup?
Shoots just wide. The rebound is back in.
Where will Mario Lemieux attempt to rewrite NHL history?
Nick Handling shooting. He scores!
With more games than ever before, nobody delivers the speed, action, and excitement of the NHL like Sports Channel, the network of the National Hockey League.
Well, that's the object of the affections of both of these football teams here today. A football, and here's how each of them is trying to win this football game and take it home in a state championship along with it. Look at the rushing yardage for Mount Carmel. East St. Louis really had to change its game around. They had to go to the air, Bill, and those are very impressive air numbers for East St. Louis, which, as we know, is not as comfortable of a throwing team as they are running the football.
Well, as we said earlier, too, Coach Shannon likes to set it up, and Coach McHugh, I think, really pointed out, he said, where they're very conservative. And we noticed that just by their formations, that they were very conservative early in the football game, and now they're letting it all hang out.
Yeah, really. You see the total yardage pretty close, 186 to 143. Mount Carmel got their yards early. East St. Louis has controlled the ball most of the time, but often time of possession is not a very good indicator as to what really is going on in a football game, because some teams, as we saw with Richardson in the ball game earlier today, televised on Sports Vision with Richards, they did their business so fast that they got it done in no time at all.
Well, of course, then you have to look at Nairobi Allen's run. That was a one-play drive, so
yep, that's right.
They come quick.
Well, East St. Louis will kick off to get the second half underway, and Mount Carmel will have the first possession of the half. It'll be Willie Fox to kick the ball. It is hit over toward the sideline, slips over and off the sideline, and this will be coming back. Excuse me, Willie Fox is the punter, so it's actually Jason Ford who does their kicking, and Jason really boomed one. He's a senior, 5'10", 172. A little earlier, he booted one all the way into the end zone on a fly.
Have you found that the temperature has dropped a little bit up here, William?
I got that distinct impression, which is just the way you like it, Bill.
Well, look, you can look out on the field and you see it glistening a little bit. Last time we were out here when it was snowing and whatever else it was doing, it got the same way. So we got another hour here before the winter sets in.
I was going to say, my memories are, I still have fresh enough memories of the last 2 years when the weather was a lot worse. I'll take this. This isn't bad. This really isn't too bad. The temperature is probably in the low to mid 40s. The wind has been whipping up. Jason Ford will hit it, and this one goes a line shot, a rocket shot that deflects like a pinball off of the deep receiver and had to be covered. Matt Gersh, there was no way he could get a handle on that.
Well, and East St. Louis wanted to start the half with some decent field position, and they got that. Even though they don't have what they term outstanding kicking game, they have the ball at least inside, well, it's on the 21-yard line. So you like to try and get a team inside the 20-yard line, but I'm sure East St. Louis will take the 21.
You saw number 27, that's Ed Stewart. He's the guy who recovered the ball and did a nice job, just reaction play to do it. Dan Miller, the quarterback, and they run the counter option. Right up the middle they go with it to Nairobi Allen. Gets across the 22 to about the 23, maybe the 24-yard line. Quick hitting play. And a gain of about 6 yards, we'll say, maybe 7. I'd say actually closer to 7. It'll be second down and a long 3 to go.
The interesting thing here is, will we see Dan Miller attempt to throw the ball as often as he did the first half, and will they mix it up like they did, or will they get away from it?
Boston and Griffin have been the wideouts all game. They have Ed Stewart in there along with Nairobi Allen as the backs. Play action fake. Miller under pressure, runs out of it, looks to throw, guns it. Did Griffin catch it or not?
No, incomplete, hit the ground.
Very close. Griffin nearly was able to pull it in. And so it'll be a third down and 3. And credit Miller just getting out of there.
Right, and we no sooner mention the fact, is he going to throw the football and go back to what they were doing the first half? And sure enough, he's going right back to the same kind of offense. You have to believe at this point that Frank Lente believes that they have the exact game plan that they need and that's necessary to defeat East St. Louis, and they're going right back to what they did the first half.
Up they come. They have their tight end flanked well out. Mark Norville to the near side of the field. They could throw to him. No tight end set here. Counter option play right up the middle. Nairobi Allen, first down. Look at him go as he took the ball all the way across to the 40-yard line before the hit was finally made. That was a trap play, and it went for big yardage as that left guard, Brian McCardle, really opened it up.
that's a counter trap, and we'll see it right here from the end zone camera, where they do run that little counter inside, and then they run the trap play, and Nairobi Allen makes a nice move inside to be able to pick up some extra yardage. Boy, his legs are going all the time.
Oh, yeah. Again, no tight end here, as they have Norville flanked well out to the near side. Miller rolling, goes to the far side, throws it, caught by Carl Boston, midfield, and he has a first down. Carl Boston takes it into East St. Louis territory at the 48-yard line.
And you have to credit Carl Boston for making a tremendous catch. He came back for the ball and actually took it away for one of the defenders. And you have to be a little bit concerned again because of the secondary. They have so many interceptions for East St. Louis, 31, and yet Mount Carmel is not reticent in throwing. Here's Dan Miller, not a classic thrower, but certainly efficient, and Carl Boston coming back for the catch.
Dion Dean was there on pass coverage, and finally Dana Howard made the stop. Now they've got a twin set to the near side, and their tight end Norville is to the far side of the field. Got a lot of wideouts here. They give the ball straight ahead to the hammerman, Matt Gersh, and he was cutting over the left. Not much there. Cedric Howard, number 71, closed it up for the Flyers.
And Bill, they're giving the appearance that they want to throw the ball. They have 3 wideouts. As you mentioned, they have their tight end out now. They have twins to one side of the field, their tight end to the other side, and yet they're running their counter inside with their 2 veer backs.
What they're doing, in effect, is they have widened the defense out where they can get some angles.
That's correct. That's correct. And then that way they don't have to knock people off the blocks. They just can shadow block them.
Now they've got a tight end set, counter option, and little room there for Ed Stewart, and he just ran out of real estate as they ran to the short side of the field, was knocked over the sideline, a gain of about a yard. Take a look at the work of Dana Howard, and you talk about a guy who gets around. Here's a guy who does that.
And that might be the position that most people will look at him. He really gets around the field. And boy, look at how he comes down in that classic tackle.
Crunch. 3rd down. This is a conversion down. 3rd and 8. They run in a play, and bringing it in is Matt Gersh, one of their messenger running backs. As they come up, 9:23 remaining, 3rd quarter player score. Mount Carmel 14, East St. Louis 7. Twin set to the right, or twins as you called them earlier. That's the same thing. Twins. They have 3 receivers out there. They call it trips. Down the line option. Miller keeps it. Has the first down, I think. Very close.
And what they're doing now, Bill, is they're giving the appearance of wanting to go to the wide side of the field, trying to get to a point where they can run their option to the short side of the field and outnumber East St. Louis in terms of players, numbers. That's the whole idea with the option. Outnumber people at the point of attack.
And they are very close to a first down. They did get it.
They got the first down, and here's a good example. Now, Miller, no way he's going to pitch that ball. He knows he had the first down. He just wanted that first down and put his head down to get it.
Jason Ford is in a tough spot there. He's guarding the pitch man, and he sees the ball carrier going inside of him. You know, he's tempted to want to go after that ball carrier, but he stayed with his man.
Well, Bill, you're accustomed to watching a lot of option football, having done Northern Illinois games.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that. Miller dropping. He has a wide receiver this near side, lets it go. Intercepted at the 15-yard line. It's picked off by Dion Dean. Dion Dean with the interception. They say he's had a brilliant year for the Flyers, and here's another example of it.
That ground must really be slippery because Dion just slipped right there. He looked like he was on ice and lost his balance, and his feet went up from under him.
We had heavy rains here last night.
Now we'll see a replay right here. Dan Miller throwing the ball up for grabs, and you had to wonder just when they would react. Dion making the catch there. Now he goes across field trying to find some room to run. And you'll see him slip. There it goes. His feet go up. And it is slick.
And so East St. Louis has the ball back, and they give the ball to Jerry Creer coming out of the backfield, going over the right side. You speculated earlier Suggs may be injured, and you may be right because we haven't seen Suggs since early, and that's Creer who's carried the ball the majority of the time from that back position.
Well, Coach Shannon said they've been hampered all season by a number of their players having some injuries, and here we see Jason Ford for East St. Louis. And they've had a lot of problems. They've lost a number of players from their lineup for a couple games. Vernon Powell didn't play 2 football games because of injury.
Vernon Ford, who was they shifted him to a flanker spot this year, and they're going to be attending to him Last year, he played in the secondary and played both ways as a fullback and a quarterback, and was going to be an option quarterback if necessary. Let's see what happened here.
Well, one thing, it looks like he was crunched. You can't really see it. There's so many people from Mount Carmel, but obviously you must. It would appear that someone stepped on him.
Well, they say that Ford has very good hands. We've seen that already, Jason Ford. He's a pretty good blocker, but they're attending to him now. Want to remind everybody, for our Sports Vision viewers, college basketball is back on Sports Vision. For one, I'm looking forward to an outstanding college basketball season. The 88-89 season, the Fighting Irish go up against St. Bonaventure live from South Bend. Tip-off slated for Monday, 7 p.m. For all your college basketball action, you tune right here, where you catch as many games as anybody will bring you, and a lot of the Chicago area schools that you like to watch. Notre Dame and St. Bonnie's.
Talking about Notre Dame, we just got the score here in the second quarter. It's Notre Dame leading USC 14-0.
Well, and that's supposedly the battle for number one, at least for this week anyway. We've had so many battles for number one this year.
Well, the only one I'm worried about number one is right here.
You bet.
We've got Mount Carmel leading East St. Louis 14-7.
8:21 remaining in the third quarter of this game, and they continue to attend to Jason Ford, who is a senior at East St. Louis. As we mentioned, he's a guy, he's played a lot of defensive football.
And that's not a good sight when you see that chair out.
Oh boy, it is not. And they're going to have to help Jason Ford off the field here. 5'10", 172 pounds. We say he's played both fullback and quarterback. He's a good athlete, very fine athlete. I know he doesn't want to finish his senior year going out this way. But for the moment anyway, Jason Ford is headed toward the sidelines, and you're right, he does not look in good shape. So he's getting help from the attendants here on the field here at Illinois State. You know, they do provide trainers and various people to help from the Illinois State Athletic Department here that have worked in partnership with the IHSA. 14-7. Powell is in there. Option. Cuts it up the field. Oh, and if it hadn't been for a great shoestring tackle there and by Mike Pippen, number 14, if he had not been able to get out there, that would have gone for big yardage.
And Bill, we're going to see it right here. He had no idea that he was ever going to run the option or pitch the ball. It's just strictly a quarterback run, and he just turns it up and uses his athletic ability to get as many yards as he could possibly can. He's just an extra running back right now.
So number 53, Jollivert Lang, he was leading the blocking. Now they give it to Suggs. He's come back in, and Suggs gets across the 40 to the 42-yard line. I like Jollivert Lang. I like his nickname, Jolly. You have to like that. 7:37 remaining in the third. 14-7. We've had no scoring here in the third period of play. We had no scoring in the first period.
Well, you certainly see the plan unfolding here is that they're just going to use Vernon to run the football.
Benny Radford is a wideout. They give it to Suggs, and he plows away. The team's leading rusher got about a yard, maybe two. LeGrant Suggs. First year as a tailback, has a lot of speed. Excuse me, that was Creer, as Suggs was in on the last play. So Jerry Creer, one wears number 33, the other wears number 32. Creer had a great game against Naperville North. Certainly Larry McEwen ought to know all about that, what he's capable of doing.
Well, now the Creer just came out, and LeGrand is back in.
All right. Maybe the way they're bringing in their plays here. To the right, Powell cuts loose. He's close to a first down on third down and about 4. He was very close to the first down before Rico Mowat was there to make the hit.
Now, he's a slippery little character, isn't he? He gets out on that outside, and boy, he puts it into third gear easily.
Well, you would think that this would be a team that, in effect, by getting that quarterback out like this.
Here you can see right here, he turns it up. And boy, I'll tell you what, they better have some speed on the corner or they're not going to catch that young man. He gets to the outside and he's gone. So Mowat throws him out of bounds.
Fourth down and about a yard. Let's see if they go for it. They're in their own territory at the 46. You know what the fans want.
Yep,
you can hear them. East St. Louis has a tremendous delegation here from the Metro East area, and they are going for it. Powell leads them up. This is their big tight formation. They give it, and a first down. Mario Malone gets to midfield.
Well, he got the first down and more.
They went right over Jolly Lang and Clarence Green, the left side of their offensive line. Green 260, Lang 196.
And that's a surprise, Bill, because they have made most of their yardage running the ball to the right, running to the tight end side.
So a first down. 5.5 minutes left as they come up. East St. Louis keeps this drive alive. There's a key moment in the game. Those are the numbers of Malone at the moment. Wing formation again, they're tight. And this now it's Suggs across midfield into Mount Carmel territory at the 49-yard line. They're showing a little bit. They alternate between kind of a power set and then their wide set where they can get people going.
Right, and in talking with other coaches that had played against East St. Louis, they said if you watch where Dana Howard goes, you know where the football is going to go, whether he's on the right side or left side. But they went against that plan right there and crossed up Mount Carmel's defense.
2nd and 8. Twin set to the near side. Hawkins and Benny. They have Benny Radford to that side. Option down the line. Powell wants to keep it. Beautifully strung out by Mount Carmel. He kept wanting to go forward, and there was no way to go forward.
And really, that's what Mount Carmel is going to have to do defensively if they want to stop Vernon Powell. Vernon Powell gives the appearance that he wants to run the option. He flashes the ball, and he just takes and tucks it in after he makes that flash. And he has no place to go, as you'll see here on the replay. They're just stringing it out. It's all the way down the line. There's no way. He cannot turn up. He has to keep going to the outside, and Mount Carmel's just using that sideline as a defender.
Pippen finally knocked him out. Powell dropping the throw and 3rd down and about 8 over the middle. Cecil Hawkins, what a catch. What a catch by Cecil Hawkins. That's a first down. Big play.
I'll tell you, Bill, he can catch the ball in a crowd. He's
Boy,
not afraid to go after that football, is he?
Look at the protection here.
Oh, excellent protection.
Guns it. That ball was just gunned in there.
And it's a one-man pattern.
Yeah, really. Just great ability and a tremendous throw right on the nose. Well executed play. Up comes East St. Louis. This is a good football team. Radford and Hawkins once again. Hawkins is in a slot position. Creer trying to cut to the far side. Gets around one man. He got away from the defensive end over there, but was then brought down along that far sideline. He got away from Cushingberry. He didn't really have the right angle on him. And then Marty Schumacher had to come up from the safety to get him.
And that was a good example of the speed that East St. Louis has. We'll see it right here. He reverses out, gives the ball to Creer. Creer goes to the outside, beats the corner, and then turns it up. And then, of course, your defensive halfbacks have to make the play.
Yep.
And you sure don't like to see your defensive halfbacks having to make the key play.
2nd down and 6. Up to the line come the Flyers. And again, Radford and Hawkins are the wideouts. Their tight end is to the far side. Hand off to Suggs. Look at him power forward. He's within a yard or 2 of a first down. He gained about 4 on that. And it'll be a 3rd down and about 2 yards to go.
And that was the appearance of a sprint draw, because it was a little bit of a lapse in there, and it was a deep handoff, and it was very effective because Mount Carmel was kind of frozen defensively.
3rd and 2. Again, Radford and Hawkins. Now they have a new receiver in there on the near side. Give Hawkins a little break for a moment. Hand off to Suggs. Look at him power his way. He's close. He got stuck back, but I think he got the first down. We'll wait and see. I thought I saw Keno Johnson in number 37, and if so, that's the first time he's played in a long time. It is a first down.
Well, Bill, they did put him on the roster.
Yeah, he is on the roster, all right, but he hasn't played since the beginning of the year.
Right.
Keno Johnson, number 37. And there he is. He's coming out. He was in for one play. He came in for Cecil Hawkins for one play.
Well, and then they ran it to the tight end side. They had Dana Howard in there, and they had the formation, twin set to the wide side, and they ran to Dana Howard's side.
2:40 remaining here in the 3rd quarter of play. Strong right. Powell looking, guns it over the middle, out of the reach of his receiver coming across as he was trying to go to Dana Howard, the tight end. Couldn't get him.
And he's a money player. And they're going to look to go to Dana Howard underneath, and they're going to go to Pee Wee Hawkins whenever they want the deep one.
There's a good look at Dana Howard. He's had to fill in. We saw Keno Johnson come in. They say that Keno Johnson, of course, is a real major college prospect, a tremendous athlete, and he's going to finish out his career without having really much of a chance to play due to injury. But
I'm sure people know about it.
Oh, yeah, they really do. Strong right formation. They've got an eye backfield this time. 2nd down and 10. The give is to Creer. Breaks a tackle. Look at him leap forward. Creer with a tremendous amount of determination. Jerry Creer. That's a gain of, I want to say, about 6 yards.
Let's see that determination right here in the replay. He takes his counter step, comes back, and he runs to the same side that Dana Howard is. Watch him take that. You see his helmet. Look at that spin. Outstanding play. We've seen some really good spins by a lot of good backs in the last 3 games that we've done, Bill.
Good fundamentals right there. Very good fundamentals. Hawkins. And once again, Penny Radford. To the near side, we had a flag fly.
Offsides.
And we'll see who it's against. Did you see a preliminary indication on that?
No, the preliminary indication was Chris Green, the guard. He just flew out there.
That would be against East St. Louis in that case.
Right.
Tough place to get one right there for the Flyers as they are driving. Well, I think we might be able to get a little look at it for ourselves. Oh, yeah.
There's the movement right there. Anytime an offensive lineman does that, you know it's offsides.
Well, there it is. And you saw it just to the right of the center, Richard Huddleston, and that is Green's spot. Minute 45. Now it is 3rd down and 9. Conversion down. Vernon Powell under pressure. Throws it against the grain. It's tipped by Hawkins at the 3-yard line. And I don't know if Hawkins was the target. The other player coming across appeared to have a pretty good beat on that ball. DeAndre Murphy right at the goal line.
Well, maybe we can get a chance to look at it right here. Here's Vernon Powell rolling out to his left, wanting to throw the ball. Throws against his body. And look at it. He's 5'2", 5'3", 5'5". How tall? He plays like he's about 7 feet tall, that little guy. Here, let's take a look at a better angle right here. Look at him stretch out. Look at him stretch out.
And Murphy is right, but look at Murphy behind us right there.
Right. Almost had 2 people catch it.
They're going for it, 4th and 9. Big play. Vernon Powell under pressure, throws it at the last minute. It's deflected. Mount Carmel is held. We'll pause. A minute 31 remaining 3rd quarter. 14-7 in favor of the Caravan.
King Nissan's final 88 closeout sale. Every new 88 Nissan will be sold at cost or below. It sounds unbelievable, but it's true. Ray Harrod, the king of Nissans, believes nobody sells Nissans for less. You want rebates? King Nissan has them. Single, double, and triple. And rebates can be used for down payments. You want selection? The King has them. Sentras, Stanzas, Maximos, Pulsars, 200 SXs, ZXs, Pathfinders, vans, and trucks. The King has them all at his cost or below. Select yours today. Drive it home tonight. Nobody sells Nissans for less than Ray Harrod's King Nissan. 5757 West Toohey in Niles.
Saturday, November 26th, the Bulls head for the mountains to play the Denver Nuggets at 9 p.m. on SportsVision. Under the watchful eye of last season's NBA Coach of the Year, Doug Moe, the Nuggets possess a balanced offensive attack. Point guard Michael Adams and crafty forward Alex English always teach the Bulls a lesson. But the air is thin in Denver, so Chicago's air is guaranteed to soar. It's NBA action at its best, live Saturday night as the Bulls face the Nuggets at 9 p.m. on SportsVision.
Just seconds ago, East St. Louis had a big 4th down play, Bill. They weren't able to convert it.
No, and here's Powell. You'll see him right here dropping back. And watch Matt Yeager. He knocks the ball down, makes a tremendous play, and then, of course, the celebration, at least for that down, they're ecstatic the fact that they stopped East St. Louis with a 4th down and 9 yards to go for a 1st down.
Pretty good rush, too, I thought, Bill. They really couldn't get it going. Look at the total yard situation here. Mount Carmel. Both teams over 200 yards.
Oh, my goodness.
Tremendous play made by the East St. Louis defense. There was just no way that the running back was going to get anything there. Matt O'Brien. And
we'll take a look right here, Bill.
Matt Gersh was stuffed.
Oh, my goodness. Look at that. What defense. Tremendous.
2nd down and 10. Can't do it any better than that. The flex tight end situation. Miller on a play action fake, goes up over the middle, has his target just short of the 40-yard line. Carl Boston. That's a first down for Mount Carmel.
And Carl Boston has made some real clutch catches all afternoon. That's another one. Good example. I'll tell you what, Mount Carmel is not afraid to throw against the secondary.
And most of the passes are of the look-in variety.
Right? Well, they're a little curl in. They like that curl in or curl out. The majority of them today have been the curl in, but that's their favorite pattern. Very, very basic, nothing fancy. Look at their 4 receptions, 50 yards.
Good day for Carl Boston. Those have been big receptions, as you say, for the most part. They have Griffin as a slot back this time lined up on the right. Counter option, that's a quick trap. It goes big. Nairobi Allen breaks it free. Let's see if he can outrun the defense. He is gone. Touchdown!
Woo-hoo! Wow, what a run.
Over 60 yards.
What a run, Bill. I tell you what, East St. Louis does not have a market on speed.
Well, that's 2 touchdowns on the day for Nairobi Allen, the team's leading rusher. He had 12 during the regular season. He now has 14.
But I'll tell you what, he made up for amends for not lifting weights this summer. Coach Lenny sat him down, and I said, that tell you what, he got his attention right early in his career, and what a game he's having today.
14 touchdowns on the season. That's a backbreaker for East St. Louis. Try for the extra point. Norville will kick it. It's against a heavy wind. Hansen gets the ball down. It's on the way, and it's on the board. 21-7. 20 seconds remaining third quarter. Well, I'll tell you what, this is that counter play that they have run so effectively, Bill.
Right, let's watch him right here on the replay. He just reverses out. There's the counter. It's a trap inside, and Nairobi Allen just goes straight up. He was almost stopped right there, and then he just outruns everybody. I'll tell you what, I'd like to get a clock on him and see how fast he runs.
Yeah, really, he is just incredible. I was going to see if we had a time on him. We don't. There are a lot of colleges, however, that have been looking at him. They've been watching a lot of game film on this young man. He does, however, stand just 5'8", 155. He's a small back, and as you say, because he is so small, it's been vital that they get some extra weight on him.
But 9 carries, 168 yards. What a day. 2 touchdowns.
What is that, about well, let's see, that's over 10 yards a crack every time he's touched the ball. That's incredible. Over 10 yards a crack every time that he's touched the ball. That's a great, great performance for anybody.
And 2 runs, one 62 yards and the other one 53.
And that's the story. So Norville kicks off. East St. Louis needs a big play here, and they can't seem to get a hold of the football. Went over and out of bounds, and brother, what a break for Bob Shannon's crew. They start 97 yards away from pay dirt, and now they have the wind only for another 18 seconds. They're going to have to throw the ball. They're going to have to throw it in the fourth quarter against the wind.
Well, Bill, here you have a big run by Nairobi Allen, and then they come back and kick the ball off, and the ball goes out of bounds. And
he did touch it.
There's the scoring drive. 3 plays, 79 yards. Pretty quick. Now, there's what we're talking about, time of possession, which can be a fooler.
Yeah, exactly right. We saw that in Richards' win over Peoria Central last night here on Sports Vision. First attempt, East St. Louis. If they're going to put it up, they may as well go right on first down. They don't have much of a chance to use this wind here. Vernon Powell, they just go ahead and give it on the kind of deep draw to Creer, and he goes across the 10 to the 11-yard line. It looked like kind of a sprint draw. He was going toward the right.
A little bit of a delay. It's not the true sprint draw outside a tackle box, but it has the same effect.
Dave Henson made the stop.
And what a stop.
Yeah, very good tackle. Very good hit. That's the end of the third quarter. And what a quarter of football. With Nairobi Allen electrifying the fans here at Hancock Stadium. Our score, Mount Carmel 21, East St. Louis 7.
Every weeknight, Sports Vision comes out of the gate with Chicago horse racing action. Mike Paradise and Eleanor Flavin set the pace with Chicago's harness racing results. Then join Super Jock Jerry Galatano and race announcer Phil Georgette with the day's thoroughbred action plus betting tips. If you can't tune in early, Chicago Racing Wrap-Up and Chicago Harness Racing also conclude Sports Vision's weeknight programming. For the most complete coverage of Chicago horse racing action, look to Sports Vision.
And now, a few words about Bill Giles.
Benny, could only describe him as being wise, considerate, young, and above all, thirsty.
And now, a few words about Rick Tellender.
He is our youth movement. He is our voice of reason. He is our sex symbol, and he has brought...
Come on,
I can't think of it. I can't think what he's brought to this show.
And now, a few words about Bill Gleason.
Southside Irish, that says it all. He's certifiably nuts, he's roofy, and he's outrageous.
And now, a few words about Ben Bentley.
Above all, the man is sexy.
The sports writers on TV, and thanks so much for watching.
Well, there are 12 minutes of football remaining as you look at Hancock Stadium, and we have a low sky here this evening, but a beautiful place to watch a football game, and this is the 6A championship final. We've had 5 great classes of football finals here on our IHSA telecast. This, of course, the final 15 minutes of the high school football season, and here we go. 2nd down and 1. There they go right to that draw play once again, and this time not much for Mario Malone, but enough for the first down. So we got about a 2-yard gain. That'll move the sticks and give East St. Louis a fresh set of downs. Now we're looking at 21-7, and Bill, we might want to start thinking about coaxing the clock here. We're down at 11:55. There is enough time.
Right, and the big thing for Mount Carmel right now is since they have the defensive team has led the way for them here to the state championship, I would think they've really got to take the front now and really put some pressure on East St. Louis and really come with a lot more people, and you might see some blitzing.
All right, they try to pitch out to get away from it. Creer carries the ball. That's a gain of good solid 5 yards on that.
And Mike Pippin coming up to make that tackle.
That's one way to get away from any type of a blitz. Just pitch that ball in a hurry.
That's true, and that's the one way they may defeat it. And of course, St. Louis has the people that can run it.
We have a player down, looks like Matt Yeager, number 86, and he is the guy. You know, he calls the signals, makes the adjustments for this team on the field. He's a National Honor Society student, ranks 22nd in his class, and right now he is being attended to.
We'll see an example right here, and you'll see Mike Pippin come in to make the play. Right there, number 14. At least gets a hand on him, and I can't see where Yeager gets hurt. Pretty difficult to see.
Now, Nick Coletti, the trainer, is out there attending to him right now from the Mount Carmel staff. This young man, as we say, a very bright young guy. He's been a 2-year starter for Frank Lenti at Mount Carmel, and he had the big interception. You may remember the interception against St. Rita that led to the go-ahead touchdown. He was the guy who made the pickoff.
Right, and what you don't want to have him injured, because he's the leading tackler. He came into this football game with 72 solo tackles, leading that defense, and you've got to have those good linebackers with the way Mount Carmel plays their defense.
And that's the old saying you've heard Al McGuire talk about, a chop off the head and the body dies. He is the head of this defense. I mean, literally, he is the thinking man. And they're going to run it the way of the adjustments that he sees. So they look to him, and they're attending to him now. Want to remind everybody, Bulls Beach, 7 p.m. Stay up. All the latest Bulls action, you'll stay up to date on it when you tune in to Bulls Beach Friday at 7. This week, the Bulls take on the Milwaukee Bucks immediately following Bulls Beach. Catch all the action of the Chicago Bulls all season long right here on Sports Vision. Exciting Bulls playing in that rugged Central Division. Well, we're happy to see that Yeager going off under his own power. He's okay. 2nd down and 4. Gain of 6 on the last play. Split back formation now. Powell, a straight pass drop. Right over the middle. Out of the backfield. Mario Malone to the 30. As he was hit and dropped there after getting the necessary yardage for a first down. That moves the sticks. Tim Crotty was there.
And Pete Gabrione was there on the coverage for Mount Carmel, and
he was a little bit surprised that he wasn't able to make that tackle immediately.
11 minutes remaining in the football game. Pressure, they come with a blitz. He throws away from it. Creer held on to the ball. Breaks through, has another first down. Well, it wasn't pretty, but they managed to get away. They had a blitzer coming in, and it was Gabrioni coming in.
Right, and that's what we mentioned before, that they're going to start bringing people on a constant basis. Here you see Gabrioni putting the heat on Vernon Powell. Now you see this catch. The ball goes up in the air. Greer gets control of it, and it must really be slippery there, Bill. You can see the glaze on that AstroTurf. I would think at this point that maybe these people need some new AstroTurf.
And a play-action fake. Powell tries to throw it up. It's a duck up there and falls incomplete. Incomplete. I will say one thing about the turf. We've had heavy rains here. This is a relatively new surface, but remember that we had a torrential downpour here last night, and I don't think the surface is totally dried up because we have very little sunshine here today. The target was DeAndre Murphy, and he is being attended to. That was just that's a tough ball for a receiver to catch like that.
Well, that's for sure. Usually you see that inside the 20-yard line where they time that one up, but here they're using it all over the field, just trying to beat that secondary with good speed.
Yeah, that's one of those, like you're going for the corner flag routes.
Right. Well, here we have an injured player.
So DeAndre Murphy is the player is being attended to. DeAndre is a guy like many players on this East St. Louis team. He gained some weight during the offseason. He gained about 12 pounds. He's going to play, they've used him, of course, at tight end. And they use him because they get a speed mismatch at tight end. He's a pretty quick guy. And they've used him on the snapping for extra points. They talk about being an unusually flexible, and this is not unusual for East St. Louis. They have players who you would think would not be capable to do things, but indeed, here's a young man. He's a long snapper on their extra point tries, and he plays some defensive back too, so he's a very important part of the East St. Louis package.
Well, if he's a long snapper, he's injured his arm. We'll get a look at it right here. He injured his arm. He wouldn't be able to snap that ball.
Look at
There's
this
the pass. Watch it. You'll see it right here. He rolls over. His arm hits the ground, and then he rolls over on it. He may have stretched the ligaments.
Jammed it. Mowat was there on pass coverage. Second down and 10. Yeah. He might have jammed that shoulder a little bit. Second down and 10. Powell, quick drop toward the sideline, trying to hit Benny. Firing for Benny Radford over there, and boy, he had a defender draped all over him.
Mike Pippin, outstanding play, and the fans were moaning and groaning a little bit looking for pass interference, but I don't know, that looked like a good defensive play. He really came through the receiver and then hit the ball. It's tough to call that sometimes.
Oh yeah, Pippin had that broken hand. He's played for over half of the season with a broken hand. It's in a IHSA approved cast. And of course, remember now, when you get, anytime you add, casts or any protective clothing or anything or devices, that has to be approved by the IHSA. Big play, third down and 10. Now the rolling Powell out. Looking, throws it, incomplete for Radford at the 37. And Warren Cushingberry was a guy who put tremendous rush.
And Vernon Powell knew he did not have an opportunity to make a completion, so he threw the ball out of bounds.
I would think that Vernon Powell is much more explosive. You mentioned it earlier, and I go right back to it. When they can get him sprinting out a little bit, where he can throw that option pass, he can do some things. Sprinting really has a lot going for him.
Now let's see if they get that long snap. There it is. There's a problem right there.
You see, you hit it right on the head. Here's Fox. He's going to throw the ball incomplete. You hit it on the nose. That because of that problem with the long snapper, and sure enough, it came right back and hurt East St. Louis, and the special teams really suffered without DeAndre Murphy in there. I'm not even sure if he was in there for that. I don't think he was. I think they had another man in there snapping.
No, he's right down here in front of us, Bill.
So now they're using somebody else to snap it for their punting, and that has to hurt them a little.
Bill, that's one of the things that every coach has nightmares of, who can snap the ball long. I used to have quarterbacks doing it because I couldn't find anybody else to do it.
First down, handoff, power play straight ahead across the 45-yard line to the 44. There's a new DeCarlo Buckner, number 25, was there to make the stop.
And they're just starting their dive option out of their veer attack. Now they come back with another play. Let's see if they come with the counter dive.
Well, Dan Miller right now, the instructions I would imagine are, if you can, keep it on the ground, and at the very least, keep it in the field of play. Let's don't put the ball on the sidelines too much if we can avoid it. Griffin and Boston are the wideouts to the near side. Griffin coming across. Now they give it to him. Stepping over to the 40-yard line he goes. A gain of, appeared to be about 4 yards there. Brian McCardle was leading the blocking on that side.
And that's one of the plays they have off the dive. Then they go to the counter dive. Then they have a trap off of that, and then they have that little. I don't want to say it's an inside reverse because it's the inside back coming in off of that dive. They give you the dive appearance, and then they give the ball to the outside back.
So they put that flanker in motion. Right. 3rd down and 3. Conversion down. They go to the option play. 1st down right up the sideline. Nairobi Allen again. As he got to the 28-yard line.
They go to the short side of the field. They dive. The man, the first back through, he dives, and then they come back to the option the opposite way to the short side of the field. Again, trying to outnumber you on the short side of the field.
Clock stops.
Get a chance to look at it right here. There's the pitch, and there's Nairobi. He's got some room to run, comes outside, and boy, that is really slick over there, Bill. And it seems that more on that side than it does on our side.
Yes, it does. That might be from the effect of the lights. There's some very powerful lights on that opposite side of the field as we view it. 1st and 10. 9:02 remaining in regulation. Strong right. Counter option all the way around, and the pitch goes to Stewart. Well, that was a 360-degree twirl right there, and Stewart got nothing on it.
And they faked the dive to Nairobi Allen first, and then went with the pitch out. I'm a little surprised that they're going with that kind of pitch. Talking about Nairobi Allen, he's had 10 running attempts, 178 yards.
Boy, tremendous day. And that's made all the difference in the world for Mount Carmel. Up they come to the line of scrimmage. You saw Stewart there on the sidelines. There's a look at Nairobi Allen.
There's the numbers.
Well, he's done it all, hasn't he? And Nairobi, who I'm sure will be heavily recruited. He had 719 yards during the season, but you see, that's deceiving because their first unit didn't play all that long in many games.
And he didn't play in the first 3 football games.
Yeah, that's right. Twins set to the left. Under 8 minutes to go. The clock continues to run. Miller. There's that counter option and the quick give to Nairobi Allen, and he goes ahead. Coach Lendy was telling me that it was not uncommon for him to knock over people who were 50, 60, 70 pounds heavier than he was, even though he weighs so little. But there was a good example. He just dragged people right there.
Well, some small schools certainly would be interested in having a young man like him. I tell you what, I know 2 backs that I would go after if I was a small school. We saw Tony Janstow for Richards and Nairobi Allen. That wouldn't be too bad of backs, I'll tell you that.
Have a great backfield right there. 2-touchdown lead right now as Miller carries the ball, trying to dive for the 1st down on a 3rd and 3. 21-7 is the score. Mount Carmel leads at 7:15 remaining in regulation. East St. Louis trying to claw its way back. This is the 6A finals on Sports Vision. Wherever you're watching, we hope you're enjoying high school football at its best from the IHSA state finals.
And those people that are taping the Notre Dame game, the halftime, it's Notre Dame 20 and USC 7. We hope they're taping that one and watching us.
You better believe they are. 21-7 the score here. And now East St. Louis is in a position, Bill, with 7:15 left. They're going to need a big play to get back in. One of their athletes, one of their great players, is going to have to make something happen.
Well, East St. Louis knows at this point if Mount Carmel scores on this drive, they've got a real problem.
4th and 1, they're going to go for it. They have no reason not to. And they're in their real tight set right here. Real tight. Miller trying to go. He made a second effort move. It was less than a yard to go.
I think it's going to depend on the spot.
Yep. And right now it's all in the hands of the officials to determine where that ball should be. Thomas Gary, the referee from Batavia, will spot it, and then the measure. And this for East St. Louis could be the most important measurement of the season right here. They didn't get it. They held.
Football length short.
So Mount Carmel, well, the worst they get out of it as far as Mount Carmel is concerned is that they still put East St. Louis in bad field position. So,
right? And the people that you feel you had to win with in this football game is right on that field right now, because that's that Mount Carmel defense.
yeah, really. And the Mount Carmel defense has a little extra help in terms of a breeze that's blowing right into East St. Louis's face.
But you know, I don't think that breeze bothers Vernon Powell one iota. I think he just wants to be able to get back there and make things go.
Powell nearly intercepted right there. Nearly intercepted by Mike Pippin, who's been one of the most active guys on the field today for Mount Carmel.
Well, he's one of the seniors that returned from the defense. This defense, as good as it has been all year, really only had 3 people come back and return, and we'll see a good example. Vernon Powell back there firing the ball. Mike Pippin making a tremendous play, trying to get the interception. Had it bounced up a little higher, he may have gotten it.
2nd down and 10. And that Mount Carmel defense right now. Gonna look, did we see, is Yeager back in there? I think he is, yeah. Yeager's back in the lineup now. Powell guns it over the middle, has Mario Malone out of the backfield. That's a 1st down. Nice gain, about 16 yards on that. That was a beautifully executed play.
And Mario Malone, a senior, one of the senior captains at 6', 205. He's a load to catch, too.
6 minutes, 39 seconds. Bill, what type of play calling can we expect to see now from East St. Louis in terms of coaxing the maximum out of the clock?
Rolling out and looking for Vernon Powell to either run or pass the ball.
Hawkins and Radford are the wideouts. They're throwing it down the field for Hawkins as he had to come all the way across, and they just missed him.
And you know, I don't know if I would throw the ball that way, because they don't have good footing over there. Pee-wee was slipping and sliding again. You've got better traction over on the right side of the field.
It appears to be that way. Of course, we're seeing a reflection from those lights on the opposite side, and that's the area in which the greatest majority of light is. I don't know. It does look as if that side of the field is very, very slippery. Hawkins, now they have both wideouts to that side. And they give it to Suggs, powering his way. 1st down. Well, you can't say that East St. Louis isn't mixing up their plays.
No, and that certainly would be the same effect that you would have if you ran a draw play. You put 2 wideouts to the other side. You have your defenders out there, and we'll get a chance to see it right here. And it's just a little bit of a delay, and it has the same effect as a draw play.
49-yard line. They have Radford to the near side. Once again, now we have a stoppage of play by the officials. And I see that they're sending one of the players over the sideline. We may have an equipment problem here.
It is, with their helmet, Bill.
Yeah. So that's Marty Schumacher, defensive back. Young man who is quite a nose for the football. Something wrong with the helmet. I'm not sure what it was, but they decided to stop play and give him a chance to replace it. All clocks are stopped. And 6:04 remaining. 21-7 in favor of Mount Carmel. Talk about the tremendous tradition that Mount Carmel has had. Boy, how would a state title fit in with that? Going toward the far sideline, very deep for Hawkins. Early intercepted by Hansen. Dave Hansen nearly picked it off.
And he almost didn't time his leap at the right time. He was going down when he should have been going up, but he still got a hand on it. We'll see it right here. You'll see him, he makes the leap, and then he almost let the ball through his hand so Pee-wee could have a chance to maybe catch the football.
Yeah, Hawkins was almost in a position to pick up a deflection there. 2nd down and 10. Well, they went for it. Hawkins on the far side, Radford on the near side. They haven't thrown to Radford very much today. Powell again. This time they go to the near side, out of the backfield for Malone, or Suggs rather, incomplete.
You know, Bill, you were saying, how would you attack this with 5:50 left to go? And before, Powell was rolling out and throwing on the run. Now he's going to drop back. And while we're talking about him, look, here's his statistics. He's 11 completions, 27 attempts, 167 yards for 1 touchdown.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's thrown almost everything in the last 3 or 4 minutes here out of the pocket. Right deep in protection there. Just a straight drop back. And of course that in effect limits his ability as an athlete somewhat, because he can't really get out and really do it. Overthrown for Hawkins. Intercepted. Mount Carmel comes up with the interception. A big pickoff by Rico Mowat. Young man who gets excellent field position on the passing game, and he had position right there as he makes the interception, and that may be the one. That may be the play right there that assures Mount Carmel of a state title. 5:42 remaining, and now East St. Louis is really backed up against the wall.
Well, at this point, Mount Carmel would have to get a classic. We're watching the replay right here of Enrico's interception there. It was the throwing and hoping, and you're throwing to hoping that Pee Wee can get out and get some room to run.
Miller right over his left guard. Look at the gain. He got a first down out of that, 11 yards. And a play that probably wasn't designed to make that much yardage. He followed Lloyd Acklin, his left tackle. And there's Frank Lente, who I was chatting with him before the game, and he said, hey, I'm not nervous about things today. We're all set to go. Part of a great family. And a little before we sign off, I want to go over the members of that family. You know, several of them are involved with DePaul. We have some brothers and sisters. His brother David coaches at Mount Carmel. There's Bob Shannon, the head coach at East St. Louis, who's done a magnificent job. 5:10 remaining. Inside, good gain. Terrific game, 7 yards. They've had back-to-back big plays on the ground, and that's really nailing the coffin shut. Matt Gersh for 7 yards.
And Bill, you notice when they're going through the line of scrimmage now, they're holding it. Mount Carmel is holding the ball with both hands. They do not want to have a turnover at this point. They want to seal the game right here and now.
2 years ago when Frank Lente's team was here, you remember what happened? Had a breakout of chicken pox just before the game.
And Nate Turner, one of their big players, who's now playing for Nebraska, was questionable.
Played with chicken pox, as it turned out. Didn't play well. Neither did their quarterback that day. Oh, and the ball nearly came loose as they gave it to Gersh. Or was that Gersh? No, it's a new back in there this time. J.J. Richards, first time he's carried the ball today. J.J. Richards. Well, they had that chicken pox 2 years ago. And I think a lot of people left that game saying, in effect, well, we didn't really see the best of Mount Carmel as they lost the state title. And there's a good look at J.J. Richards. They call him J.J. His name is Jim. Was a starter, suffered a separated shoulder. And I think they wanted to give him a chance to get in there and play. Now here's Stewart along the sideline. He stayed in bounds. He stayed in bounds at the 47. That's the key to that play.
You know, at the beginning of the season, when East St. Louis played Robeson from the city of Chicago, they won 21-14, and he said at that time he did not think that this team, current team, was of championship caliber, and yet they came in here 13-0.
All right, first down. 3:39 remaining in the football game. 21-7 is the score. Up they come to the line of scrimmage. Tony Cassidy is a wideout. A lot of new players in for Mount Carmel now. Miller continues to direct the attack, and we have a penalty coming up after offsides as had a couple of Mount Carmel players starting to go, and so this will come back 5 yards. Speaking of the
legal procedure is the call against Mount Carmel.
Speaking of the Lente family, the brother David coaches at Mount Carmel. Gene, Michael, and Eugene are all at DePaul. Sister Marilyn, also a former high school athlete. So they're all involved. This is a very athletic family, and I know several of the Lentes. They're fine people, and we congratulate them. I know they're, if they're not here, they're watching on television. I know that. Counter option, and the ball came loose. It's kicked around. It's loose on the turf. East St. Louis has recovered. East St. Louis has recovered. Dion Dean fell on the ball after Matt Gersh could not handle the pitch.
I don't know, Bill. They have to have control. East St. Louis did recover it, but I don't know if he's saying that they had control of the ball, and I think they're giving it to Mount Carmel.
Oh, my. I thought his feet were in bounds when he got control of the football. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, we'll take a look right here on the replay. It's a bad pitch. Ball's bouncing all over the place. And there, can you see him? There, you saw somebody fly in, but I don't know if he had control of the football. Oh, look at the coach's reaction here.
Yeah.
He's getting warmed up for it.
There's Frank Lente, and I'll tell you what, he knows that they're very, very close. I think they got a first down out of this, and they're very close to it. That's a big break. And when you win a state championship game, you get a break on a ball like that, because that's the one that you figure that East St. Louis is going to get. And to be honest with you, I thought East St. Louis had recovered that ball.
I did too. I
really did.
I agree with you. We were in a better position, really, because we're up high, and it looked like he did make the recovery. And, of course, the officials are down on the field, and they're doing a good job. And we don't ask them to do our job.
Oh,
we're not going to do theirs.
No, we're not critiquing the officials by saying that. We just thought it just from up here, from our angle, boy, it really looked as if that ball could have very easily have been recovered. Tony Cassidy, a wideout now. Wing to the left. Counter option. Quick hitting. Big opening for J.J. Richards. Look at him go. That's another first down. And now there seems to be little doubt. 2:53 remaining. East St. Louis has 3 timeouts remaining. They have all of their timeouts left, but right now they have big problems on the field trying to stop Mount Carmel, and it seems as if they're powerless to stop them.
Well, Mount Carmel, and we're going to see some of the statistics right now. Mount Carmel certainly has a large edge in rushing. Look at this, 269 yards to East St. Louis for 111.
Well, counter option once again. Stewart straight ahead, and I tell you what, they're just blowing them off the line of scrimmage now. This was what I was talking about earlier, Bill, as we've gotten into this fourth quarter. East St. Louis is basically, I think, a finesse, quick team that does things, but they're not a big strength team inside it. And there have been times, I noticed this last year, where they had a hard time staying on the line of scrimmage.
Well, I don't know what the cause is, but I know one thing. That gentleman down underneath us right here, Bob Shannon, is certainly going to be back here and with a vengeance.
Oh yeah, 2nd down and 5. He got back this year. Counter option, the give, just straight power football inside now, and East St. Louis has got to stop it. And they have not been able to. They have to stop it to get the ball back, and this time it was Nairobi Allen, little 5'8", 155-pounder, and that's about a 4-yard gain. They've got a 3rd down and 1.
You know, what you have to understand is East St. Louis only has 7 seniors on this football team. So that's a young football team.
Yeah, really, they feel they're a year away.
That's right.
And but they got here this year, and they got here last year too. So up they come. No, nobody's holding the crying towel for these guys. They've got a lot going. New quarterback in there now as Miller goes to the sideline. Down the line, the quarterback trying to run for it and ran out of real estate. Jim DeLisa, a junior. He's had a great deal of playing time, especially early in the year. He's thrown for a completion average of 57%. And they tried to go for the first down. Did they get it? I think they did. I think they did. On extra effort, DeLisa got it.
Yes, he did.
1:11 left. And that pretty well shut the door on anything, unless there should be some type of a wild turnover here. The new state champions will be Mount Carmel. Counter option, we had a whistle. Did they take too long? Or perhaps there was some movement. We'll wait and see.
Here's the call right here, Bill.
It'll be walked off.
Offsides.
Yeah, so 5-yard deficit.
Now, you always get that when you get new people in there, a little anxious. They want to do a good job in the short period of time that they're in there. And you know, how many times you see that where they're offside? It doesn't make any difference whether it's a high school level or college.
It's important that everybody have a chance to play. 52 seconds, the clock is running. New wideout in the ball game. Totally new set of players now. They give it straight ahead give. J.J. Richards carries it. Boy, he got a lot of that yardage back. That's about a 12-yard gain.
He's not a bad back, by the way.
No, he certainly
He's made a couple runs here that certainly would open your eyes.
He's a senior. He's finishing out his career. They have Rashawn Moore in the lineup as a wideout. No. He's not even on the depth chart here on the Mount Carmel offense. Oh, yes, he is. But usually used as a running back. Now, they're using him as a wideout here in this situation. We're down to 14 seconds. I don't think there's going to be another play. They're celebrating on the sidelines. And this is the moment.
First undefeated season since 1952 when Terry Brennan took the Mount Carmel team to the city championship.
They've done it. Mount Carmel, the state champions. And now in the middle of the field, Bob Shannon, the head coach in his yellow jersey. There are the two coaches as they shake hands. It was a good football game. East St. Louis came roaring back to pull within a touchdown and a half. But Mount Carmel's unrelenting defensive pressure. They made play after play after play when they had to. East St. Louis made some big plays, but they couldn't sustain much in terms of their offense, Bill. And they just really never got rolling. They had it in spurts, but they just couldn't sustain it against what was a real solid defensive effort, I think, by Mount Carmel.
Right, and the two keys offensively for Mount Carmel were Nairobi Allen with 12 attempts, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns, 2 long touchdowns. And then, of course, you can't forget the quarterback, Dan Miller, 8 of 13 for 108 yards, and, of course, some real key passes to Mark Norville, his tight end.
Well, it means a lot to win the Catholic League title, and they have won it 2 of the last 5 years at Mount Carmel since Coach Lindy has been there as coach. Now they have a state title to go along with it. And so we have a 21-7 ball game. We will be returning to watch the victory celebration here in Normal, Illinois in just a moment.